country, bring it down to an appreciable level. But Parliament is on recess because someone's ego is bruised. In order to come to Parliament to discuss issues, to bring some relief to the Ghanaian businesses, in order to come back to Parliament to discuss issues, to approve certain money that government needs, in order to come back to Parliament to discuss issues that border on climate action, Mr. Speaker is throwing everything to the wind, and clearly it is the state that suffers. So I support in its fullness the call by majority to force the Speaker to come back to Parliament to work.
Indeed, such a recall is not a new development. It's something that we've seen before in the House, where the House has recalled itself to deal with urgent government business, which was pending, such as the ones that the majority leader has put out in his presser yesterday. So it is not a new phenomenon. It's happened before.
Even sometimes when Parliament is on recess and there's a need to reconvene for certain decisions to be taken, the new bill to be passed, some loan agreements to be passed and whatnot, they are able to reconvene under emergency situations to get those things done. So indeed, let's look at the benefits or the nitty-gritties of all the items that were earmarked for discussion and their benefit to the country and the individuals. Most especially, what I'm particularly interested in is the climate action bill that Parliament needs to consider for monies to be given to fight the climate. In the end, if the climate comes down, there's no survivor on earth. Then clearly it has issues, it borders on food security, it has issues on our weather, it has issues on rainfall, it has issues on health implications as well. So the effects of climate change on its own is enormous enough, and we can tell the activities of the president and his advocacy positions that he's adopted since he became the president, and the effort this country has put in. Every year, at least for the past 2 to 3 years, we've been having the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources planting at least 2 million trees to combat climate action, Green Ghana program. And I think we still need to do a lot to help sustain our environment. And this is the least Parliament can do for us. Reconvene, get approvals for those things, for Ghanaians to have the benefit of the various items that were earmarked for discussion. It's quite unfortunate that we need to be here to discussing such issues simply because, like I said, someone's ego is bruised and the person feels that the president doesn't have the powers arrogated onto himself to send a letter to his office asking him to hold on with a certain bill not to be transmitted to his office. It's quite unfortunate. Let's look at the overriding interest of the country, and let's look at how we can play our part, especially elected public officials and people who occupy positions of influence to help our country.
I recall the Attorney General in a recent communication saying that this is more like a tit-for-tat approach to things. Now, I hear you also talking about tit-for-tat in a different form. But going forward, the posturing of this particular this 8th Parliament, because of this hanged nature and all that, what could be the best approach to doing things in the House? I know the Parliament has a very short time. It's how many months left? It's actually, if it resumes in this month of May, it will be there till the end of July and take a break and come back in October and then go back in December, and by the time they are coming back in January, it is for collapse.
Session for a new parliament,
the 9th Parliament to kick in. So I'm just thinking, this last space which is left, what really should be the posturing of both sides? From
clearly, everyone has spoken about understanding the principles or the tenets of separation of powers. The executive is admonished to do things within the confines of the law, with the idea that yes, we are separating our powers, we know what we need to do. The Parliament also needs to understand separation of powers. If any action by either side is taken and either side or the other side is uncomfortable with those decisions and actions, the best way to seek redress is to go to the third arm of government, which is the judiciary. In the case of the Speaker of Parliament, after the President through his Executive Secretary sent that letter to Parliament, if the Speaker felt that the President had breached any provision or any constitutional requirements, the best to have done was to allow proceedings in Parliament to go on in the interest of the country and run to the Supreme Court or the court to seek interpretation of the actions of the President. In that way, if you went to court and we found a favorable judgment that the president erred by ordering the executive secretary to send you that letter, you would have won the admiration of numerous Ghanaians, in the sense that you didn't arrogate powers onto yourself. You didn't tell yourself that, yes, I'm an entity of my own with certain powers given to me by the Constitution and certain provisions that myself have enacted to guide the operations of Parliament. But rather, I sought the overriding interest of the country, went ahead to do businesses that will benefit the country. But rather, when I had some misunderstanding with the activities and actions of the executive or the president, I rather proceeded to serve the country, serve the people, but rather went to court to seek interpretation from the Supreme Court. And the Ghanaian would know that indeed you are not there to serve yourself, but you are there to serve the country. So let's look at the overriding interest of the Ghanaian and the Ghanaian people. And if that is our aim and our priority, I believe it will order our steps, and everything we need to do will be guided by the principles and the tenets of the Constitution, with the aim and the interest of Ghana and the Ghanaian at heart. And in the end, even though the time is limited, there's a lot we can achieve within the limited space.
All right. So if you are listening to us on Facebook, you are on Asase 99.5. And if you are listening to us on television, you are on ABC TV GH. I invite you, those of you on Facebook, to share our page, send your thoughts, send your questions, and we'll be minded to read and add it to the contributions as far as this program is concerned. And so I've seen some few messages coming from our friends on Facebook. Ebenezer Deborah says, good morning. Good morning to you, Ebenezer. Thank you for tuning in. Kujo Asempa Furnitures, thank you very much for your patronage as usual. There's Benjamin Ano, who says that please tell the Energy Minister my light goes off from Monday to Sunday in Michelle Camp, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. As I type, my lights are off. Okay, so Benjamin, sad news. Sad to hear that your lights are going off this much. We will pass the information on to the appropriate quarters so that they can deal with your matters for you. Chum Daku says, good morning. He's mentioning so many names like Inshirado will do. Expecting nothing but the best discussion today, as always. Thank you, Chum, for your message. And then there is also Ni Ej, who has also sent a message trying to congratulate somebody. All right, so if you are on Facebook, share our page, invite somebody, tell somebody that the Asase forum is on, and we are excited about it. Let's turn our attention now to the Ejisu by-election and its implications for election 2024, which is one of the main topics we are discussing today. We will also talk about the load management issues. I see that there was a message from the Ano, who says his lights are having challenges. We'll discuss that. And then Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia hits the ground running with his campaign. Very interesting developments in most of the places he has gone to. One of the videos I just saw, he's actually on a house-to-house campaign, meeting with people in the Western North region. Quite intriguing, if you ask me. So let's talk about it. Doctor, I was going to say cancer. You're not cancer, you're a doctor. So I'm in the studio with Dr. Ezekiel Ejikum Obeng. He is a medical doctor and also a member of the New Patriotic Party's National Communications team. So just by election, some people say that your party, even though it won, had a run for its money.
Overforce, no election, irrespective of where or when it's held, it's easy. Even if you are holding an election in your own home, trust that it's not going to come on a silver platter. Let me start by congratulating the MP-elect, lawyer Kwabena Boateng, and congratulate the Ejisu MPP executives from polling stations to electoral areas to the constituency executives, the Ashanti regional executives as well, and by extension, the national executives headed by Honorable Intim and the General Secretary JFK for the yeoman's job. They've done. The time was limited, but they were able to marshal human beings and resources to the communities and to campaign effectively to help ensure the win. We in the MPP, we do not take anything for granted, whether we are having the elections in the Ashanti region, Eastern region, the two regions being our strongholds, or we are having it in our least favored regions. We do not take anything for granted. So contrary to the views that MPP had to churn out the win from the people, I do not subscribe to that. It rather shows the respect we have for the Ashanti people, such that even though you are a stronghold, even though, in quote, you are the region that gives us the largest margins of vote, we do not take anything for granted, that we would make sure that everything that we can lay our hands on, anything that we need to do as a party to make sure that our votes are maximized, we are going to do it, even if it includes sending the president, the vice president, the national executives, everyone involved to any corner of the country to get in touch with the people, touch base with the people, explain our policies to them, tell them what we've done over the past 7 years and what we are about to do in the next government. We will do that. We will not take anything for granted. So congratulations to all those involved and the newly elected MP. But of course, every election has its own dynamics. And obviously, looking at the two gentlemen who were contesting, a lot of people touted it as an internal election or an internal process because, yes, the former MP who was contesting as an independent candidate had contested and won the seat on 3 occasions under the New Patriotic Party. So clearly, true and true blue. But of course, I mean, due to human differences that may arise along and with time, he's choosing to go on a different tangent, on a different path. We wish him well. We wish he was still with us. We wish he would come back to our party because, yes, indeed, we always would need everyone on board, whether new, old, whoever we would get to come to our fold, to come and help us win elections. We welcome everyone. So I will still, entreat the Honorable Edomi that whatever being his differences, the elephant that gave him the opportunity to go to Parliament to become the Deputy Minister of Roads is still the elephant that he knows. He should humbly come back home for us to work together. But of course, looking at someone of his caliber who had stood for elections on 3 occasions and had won as an MP, had relationships with people, had relationships with chiefs, had relationships with ex-party executives right from the polling station level, clearly you can't underrate the influence of such persons. But there was another twist to the election that people try to forget or overlook, is the fact that the NDC failed to field a candidate for the elections. And it introduces a whole new dynamics to the elections, even though it is your stronghold. We can recall that in Bunkurugu or Mumpurugu 2013, when then elected MP had to resign to take up other positions elsewhere, there was a by-election. He won that election with over 18,000 votes in 2012. Then the closest to him was the MPP candidates, who got a little or over 8,000 votes. The difference between the person who won on the ticket of the NDC and the MPP candidates was less than 10,000 votes. So clearly, if there was a rerun of the election less than a year after the election was held, clearly MPP was in pole position to at least contest the election, give extra mileage to our candidate, to prepare him, even if he didn't win, prepare him for the 2016 election. But the MPP stood aside. We didn't contest the election. And the third person after the election in 2012 were the CPP candidates, one Honorable Amidu Yaya. He got a little over 4,000 votes. So even between him and the MPP, there was an excess of 4,000 votes. But the MPP decided to stand aside. The NDC candidate who won the election did not contest, or the person had gone to do something else. And NDC had brought a new face. And that constituency is the stronghold of the NDC. Though the NDC had brought in a new face, the MPP failed to contest the elections. And, clearly, through their support behind the CPP person other than the NDC person. And the CPP person emerged as the winner for the constituency. This same person contested less than a year before and got a little over 4,000 votes. MPP was somewhere 8,000 votes plus. The person who won on the ticket of the NPP got over 18,000 plus. So yes, the difference between the MPP and the NDC then was less than 10,000, but it was significant enough. When MPP decided not to contest the elections, everyone associated with the MPP, I believe, voted for the CPP candidates. And the CPP candidate emerged as the winner. So we've seen that dynamic before. Yes, then don't forget that during by-elections, turnouts are low.
Very low.
And we've not had up to 65% of turnout in by-elections in the history of the country. So turnouts are low, not because people are not interested in the government of the day or the various individuals standing for election, but the euphoria and the feel, the aura in town around by-elections are totally different from general elections. So yeah, let's establish that fact.
Okay.
So if it gave an opportunity to the CPP candidate to snatch the seat from the NDC, then it tells you that going into this election in Ejiso, where the NDC garnered some 14,000 votes, even though the difference between the NDC and the MPP then candidate, the late Honorable John Kuma, was huge, it definitely offered an opportunity to the independent candidate.
It was actually well over 50,000.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's offered some opportunity or advantage to then the independent candidates. And mind you, this is someone who has been a deputy minister, has had some resources, has started some projects in the constituency before he lost the seat to Honorable John Kuma. So clearly, looking at his persona, the kind of person he is in the constituency, and the support indirectly or the advantage indirectly being offered him by the NDC, then clearly it was not going to be an election on a silver platter. Mind you, I've already stated that we as an MPP, we do not take anything for granted. Even if the elections are being held in quote in our bedrooms, we will go out and fish the vote. So let's make that distinction.
Okay, so let's register.
Very, very clear.
Let's register. And the voice you just heard is actually a member of the MPP's National Communications team, and this is his first time here. He's already behaving like he's been here for so long. Dr. Ezekiel Ejikum Obeng just walked in. Is Mr. Kwame Jantua. Mr. Kwame Jantua is a part of the furniture here at Asase Radio. He's a member of the Convention People's Party and also a private lawyer. A very good morning to you, Mr. Jantua.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, and it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yes. So I believe that you followed the Ejiso by-election. Initially, we started with the conversation about the recall of Parliament.
And good morning to Doc.
Yes.
I meet him so many times on other stations.
Oh, okay.
Third time this week, actually.
Yes, third time this week.
So you are friends.
Yes.
Okay. So I believe that you followed the conversations that have gone on after the Ejiso by-election. You followed the outcome and all that, and then also the fact that there is demand from the majority side of things for Parliament to be recalled. Because you are just working, I want you to add the two. So you make a comment about the recall of Parliament, and then you look at the Ejiso, which is a substantive matter.
Good morning, and good morning to our listeners and viewers, and apologize for being late. I was on another station at 7. So, media, when they call you can't say, I'm not coming. Just say, I'll be there. So, you want me to look at it in two?
Yes, so just a quick comment about Parliament recall.
Yes. The recall of Parliament is because of...
So the majority leader says that they are unfinished government business. First is the approval of the ministers, and then there are some pending approvals, like the monies that was going to be used for the continuation of the Greater Accra Resilient Project and all that. All those things need to be passed because they are delaying the efforts. Already the rains are setting in, and Greater Accra needs to be protected and all that. So let's come back, let's deal with those matters, and you can go back to rest.
When is Parliament supposed to come back?
Well, so the date is not clear, but usually it will be getting to the latter part of the month of May.
You heard the Minister for Opong Nkrumah.
Works and Housing.
Yes. He has indicated that Accra is not ready because there's been so much delay. Now, if you recall Parliament earlier than they are supposed to come in, would it really accelerate some of these bills? Will it? There's no guarantee that it will. If the members of Parliament, and it's the majority leader who is calling for it, not the minority, not both sides. So if the majority leader feels and the speaker feels that these bills are essential and important to pass, then yes, can call for Parliament to come back. Sometimes, for emergency situations, don't they call? If there's a bill that needs to be passed under emergency, do they not call Parliament? So it's up to the Speaker. I reckon the challenging bit is if by December 7th they haven't been able to pass the bills that have been slotted in to pass for the duration, then that's a challenge, because the following year it goes back to start all over again. So if the call for Parliament is something that would aid their work and would help the process move forward, I don't have a problem with this, and I don't think there's a problem there. It also depends on the parliamentarians, whether they are ready to come back, earlier than they're supposed to, because some of them will be working in their constituency. It's an election year. The campaigning has started now. I'm sure a lot of the parliamentarians are in their constituencies also campaigning. So it's up to the parliamentarians to make that decision whether they want to come back. But it's the speaker, isn't it?
It's the speaker, yes.
The speaker. So if the speaker feels that what they're saying is right, fair enough. One of the bills that is most interesting to me is the LGBTQI one. I hope
that has been passed.
It hasn't gone into law yet.
Yes.
So that one we are waiting on the president. He is waiting on the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court can decide to look at that bill next year or any time. But if the Supreme Court can look at it now, so that we can bury that once and for all.
So under the 1992 Constitution, Article 112, Clause 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is summoning and dissolution sessions of Parliament. And so the majority leader is basing his argument on 112, Clause 3, which says that notwithstanding any other provision of this article, 15% of members of Parliament may request a meeting of Parliament, and the Speaker shall, the word there is shall,
mandatory,
within 7 days after receipt of the request, summon Parliament. So once 15% of the House say that there is a need for Parliament to be summoned, the Constitution says that the Speaker shall.
Now it doesn't actually indicate who make up the 15%. Is it a combination of the minority and majority, or is it one side that makes 15%?
So it just says 15% of the House.
15% of the House.
In the if you read the Constitution and the text, Parliament is considered a whole.
Yes, it's considered a whole.
It's considered a whole.
Yeah, it's considered
so
a whole.
Usually Parliament is not. We divide it because of course we know some people went there based on the ticket of a party and all that. But Parliament is a whole.
Yes.
So it says 15%.
So it could be from any side.
From any side. But once it constitutes 15% of the House.
So with what the majority leader is saying, does he have backing of 15% of the House?
Oh, certainly.
About 41.
Just about 41 members.
41 members.
Out of the 137 that the MPP has plus one, which is the independent, making it 138.
So it's more the majority side than the minority side. And if members of the majority, some of them are not in favor of it, they'll whip them into line, won't they? To agree for that 15%, for that number that they are requesting for him to now let the speaker.
So you see, when the 15% successfully makes the request and the speaker recalls the House, the speaker is not recalling a part of the House.
No,
the speaker is recalling the entire House.
Yes. But we still need 15% either or, the entire House or one part of the House.
Well.
Yeah?
The House.
Yes. Yes. It's the House, but going into detail is one or the other or both.
It will be one side, yes. So the reality.
So I don't think, in Ghana we tend to politicize so much. I don't think we should politicize this. Work needs to be done. They feel, the earlier they come, the better because of the quantum of work that is there. And let the speaker decide. If the speaker decides not to, is the speaker obliged to give us reasons why he's not going to accept? I'm not sure whether they are standing orders. Tell them. I'm not sure whether the Constitution also.
So the majority leader said that in April he attempted by way of a memo, and the speaker did not barge in, so didn't grant the request. So now he's decided to go by the Constitution, which is Article 112, Clause 3. Which is what has been done now, which he announced yesterday at his presser. Ebenezer Ado from Brentwood says I should tell you guys that he's listening to us from Brentwood, I believe in the United Kingdom.
UK.
Yes, and then George Ampofu Dodu says that good morning, Wilberforce. Good submissions from Dr. Ezekiel. But please, Wilberforce, where do you always fish for these intelligent new entrants to Asase family, like Dr. Ezekiel and also like Dr. Zato? Okay, so it means that the producers are working. All right, Mr. Jansa. So I think we can move on to a just by election.
Yes, I was just going to say, you know, in court, when you go to court, demeanor can find you guilty.
Demeanor?
Your demeanor alone can find you guilty. So, what is the demeanor of the speaker where these things are concerned? You actually stated that in April,
it's posturing.
It's posturing and all that. You know, you can decide. I wouldn't do it. But for the sake of the work of Parliament, let's hope that they are able to come back and finish the work, quantum of work they have. Ejuso, you know, my father was the first MP for Ejuso.
Indeed,
Yes.
Mr. Jantwa.
Yes,
Okay.
Jantwa.
Okay.
1965. So when we were kids, we used to go to Ejuso, but we didn't know what we were going to Ejuso to do. We were small children then. So we pack us in the car, take us to Ejuso. We didn't know what we were going to do. So Ejuso was a bit, I was interested in the election because of that. And I believe if the NDC stood, probably the independent candidate might not have got the kind of results he got. So it was an MPP affair. I really didn't like some of the utterances that went on.
You mean it was an MPP internal election,
yes,
even though it was a by-election?
It was a by-election.
Okay, why do you say so? I'm interested.
It was more MPP than any other part. The CPP candidate stood. How much the CPP candidate get? You know, so you know, it was a fearsome election, and I wasn't happy with the commentary that went on. I think, you know, in political parties, no matter how much we disagree with certain people's actions within our party, we should try and build consensus. I think it's very important. Because look at the last independent candidate. What happened to him? He became deputy speaker, didn't he?
Yes, so you're talking about Fomina.
Yeah, Fomina.
Yes, so he's the second deputy speaker. Yes.
When he decided to go independent, what wasn't said about him? In the end, what did he do? He was the one that now carried the entire MPP in Parliament. So I think we need to be decorous when such things happen and try and build bridges. I really didn't like the way the president went about, you know, talking about this independent candidate. I thought he, now being a statesman, because he's getting to the end, they should have found a better way of handling this. Now you're backtracking to now get everybody to come back together. It's not helpful. It's not helpful, especially when they are from the same party. Words are powerful. Things that you say can be very powerful, and they last very long in people's memory. So you've got to be very careful. And with a situation where the gathering is a mixture of people, a cocktail of different people, and you both decide to come together under one ideology, you should be very mindful and try as much as possible to always build consensus.
I want you to shed a bit more light on this issue you talk about coming from the same party. So you are talking about Eduomi, for example.
Yes.
And if he comes from the MPP.
Yes. When you say if.
No, so I'm because of the question I'm asking. So he comes from the MPP.
Yes.
But he takes a decision that could obviously upset the MPP by deciding to go independent. Would you expect that the MPP rank and file will fold their arms and not take action because his decision, even though you are an insider, you have decided to step outside, and it is likely that your decision would upset the party? Because if he had won this by-election, technically speaking, MPP's numbers would have dropped in Parliament. That means that the MPP would have lost its majority stance in Parliament in the event that that independent decided that he was going to work with the NDC side of things in the House. What was going to happen is that the numbers were now going to be 137 for the MPP, with the 137 including the existing independent, and the NDC was going to have 138. It means that we would have returned to Parliament with a switch in majority-minority leadership. The majority leader would now become minority leader, and the minority leader would have become majority leader. So this is an independent person, or this is a member of the MPP who took a decision that was likely to upset the party. What would you expect the party rank and file and leadership to do?
First point of call, I'd expect them to try as much as possible to convince him not to go independent. Whatever they would do to convince him, let them convince them. And if you've noticed, MPP independent candidates never cross carpet. If you noticed, they don't cross carpet. And if he,
I think there was Joe Wise for Bekwai.
Yes.
And then there was Fomena.
Yes, they don't cross carpet. And if you also look at it, he would have to decide which side he will sit when he gets into Parliament, whether the MPP side or the NDC side. And there's no way he will sit. And, the independent candidates do not have their own seat in Parliament where they are independent. So they decide at any given time which side to go to. He would definitely back the MPP in Parliament. That is a foregone conclusion. Because if people are annoyed with him for going independent and he does win, that gives him some clout in the constituency. And then he now goes into Parliament and decides to sit with the opposition. That one, they'll murder him. Figuratively, I'm speaking. Further comments begin and close. They'll murder him. So under no circumstances would I have thought that if he won, he would sit with the NDC. He would definitely go to the MPP side. So whatever the case is, and if he got into Parliament, it is the majority who would convince him to sit with them. And I'm sure he would decide to sit with them. He's been a member, he's been a deputy minister before, right? Under whose ticket did he become a deputy minister? Isn't it under the MPP? So
but irrespective of all this record, he still decided to go independent with the aim of upsetting the party.
It's a free, what do you call it, decision if he wants to go independent. Yes, his aim was to, make a point. Maybe there are certain things that he did not like, how they turned out, and decided, I'll go independent. Why did Joe Wise go independent? There was a reason why he went independent. It wasn't there. And so when such things happen, the party should drill down to the bottom of the issue and find out what it is upset the person for the person to go independent. Because what do you want? You want a whole. You want your gathering to be a whole. Drill down, see what the problem is, and see whether you can sort that problem out. If he still maintains that I'm going to go independent, fine. He wins, he gets into Parliament. You still talk to him to come on your side, because it doesn't favor you if he decides to sit on the other side. It doesn't favor you. But as I said, I don't see MPP, any member MPP going independent, sitting with the opposition. I find that quite incredulous to happen. But he did go, independent, and fortunately for the MPP, the gentleman that they had touted to win won. What was the gap? Was it 5%?
Well, no, it was about 15% vote difference. So he had 56. Oh, I stand to be corrected. I'll do the checks, but the percentage was then in terms of numbers, 27,000 as against 21,000.
Yes.
So a vote difference of about 6,000.
Yes.
In terms of percentages, I think it was 55% for the MPP candidate and 43% for the NDC, for the independent candidate.
Okay.
So when you do the mathematics, about what 8 and another, so 5 and about 13-14% percentage vote difference.
So how does this reflect in a general election? Bearing in mind that by-elections are totally different from general elections. Does such arithmetic have an impact or tell us something about the general election. Especially the general election, there are more people who will stand, more parties who will stand than the few that stood this time around. And I believe that at this particular moment in time, the work that the MPP have is to make sure that none of their members decide to go independent.
Okay, so to get the figures right, 27,782 representing 55.8% for the MPP candidate. And for the independent, I almost said the NDC candidate, for the independent candidate, 21,534 representing 43.3%. So if the percentage is anything to go by, we are talking about 7 plus 5, which gives you what? About 13 percentage vote difference. Yes. So that's what it is. And in terms of numbers, 27,000 minus 21,000, obviously 6,000 and over vote difference.
Yeah, that's not not too huge.
Yes, in the 2020 parliamentary, John Kuma had 68,000, in excess of 68,000. The NDC candidate, then without an independent candidate contesting, had 14,000. So the gap that's 82% as against about 17 or something percent. Yes.
But it goes to show that Ejusu is a real stronghold of the sitting party. And as I was saying, the MPP need to look at the situation where none of their parliamentarians decide to go independent, because the election comes a very crucial election. Now, the question of whether NDC were supporting him, or the independent candidate, whether he was supporting him, I found it very difficult. That top executives of the MPP were saying this. Where was the evidence? Was there evidence to that fact? The fact that you don't like what somebody has done doesn't mean you crucify the person. Because one day, you might need that person's help. And I thought, for me, without evidence, that was below the belt. And I didn't expect top executives like the vice president indicate that he's NDC mole and all that. It doesn't help any. It breaks the spirit of that individual, irrespective of the fact that he's gone independent. So far as he's concerned, he's still clothed in MPP.
but enjoying the support of the NDC.
The fact that
welcome. I'm going to introduce you shortly. Don't worry.
The fact that do you have the evidence? Do you have the evidence that he's enjoying the support?
The person did not reject the offer that was made by the NDC.
What was the offer?
So you listen to the rank and file, and it's more like we are not fielding a candidate, we are throwing our weight behind the independent.
Did he accept it?
Well, he didn't reject it.
No, did he accept it?
Well, I didn't hear him accept or reject.
Listen. So you can't then say because he didn't reject it, he's in support.
But if he was a member of the MPP, so to speak, and had even decided to go independent.
What would you do if you were in that position? So, and you heard that other what do you call it begins. What would you do?
So the rules of the party is that if you're a member of the party, you cannot go independent. As soon as you go independent, you take yourself out of the party. Yes. So to the extent that he decided to go independent, meant that he took himself out of the party.
Let me ask a question. When the gentleman who won, what was he saying? What did he say after he won?
What did who say?
The gentleman who won, the lawyer who won.
Well, yeah, so I think he came up with a reconciliatory message, not just him, but even including the party chairman.
Yes. What did you just tell me? What did you just say? According to the MPP rules, the moment you go independent, you're out of the party. If you're out of the party, why did you go in reconciliation with him?
Well, but that is the rules. As for the rules, it's the rules. But you can amend it. You can bend it.
You see?
But it's the rule.
You see, that is the rule. Yes. So if it's the rule, you go according to the rule. You shouldn't even be speaking to him again. You shouldn't be speaking to. He's broken the law. He's broken the MPP law. Don't talk to him again. He's out, not to come back. That is what the law says. So why are you now telling us that you are going to reconcile and bring him back in? Why are you saying that? Laws.
Someone is saying I should ask you a question, Mr. Jantua. You can't be sure the independent Duomi like to play ball with the MPP. did you hear him say he wants to teach the MPP a lesson? Also, the president's message was very apt at that last rally. The truth must be told straight to any ingrid person like Aduomi. And so this person is saying that Aduomi himself was heard publicly saying that he wants to teach MPP a lesson. And so you cannot fault the president for taking the position that he took and say that, look, whatever Aduomi is telling you he did it under my presidency. We had to authorize him to be able to do. The country paid for the things that he's done in terms of roads and all that. It's not something he did from his pocket money. He did it based on policy of government. And so he cannot go around and now claim and say that the things that I did were my personal doings. And so vote for me as against the party on whose ticket I was able to do the things that I did for you.
Come on. Was Philomena and Ingrid? Was Joe Wise and Ingrid? Were they Ingrids? Did they not come back to the party? And if the gentleman is saying that I did X, I did Y, his responsibility is to lobby, isn't it? And we all know that he's government. When the president said that he didn't use his personal money, who uses his personal money to build roads in this country? Isn't it government? Was he not in government? So what's the president talking about?
But the person is claiming that he did those things on his own for the community, and so the community should vote for him. We are talking about politics.
And you think the people of Ejoso did not question that?
21,000 people voted for him.
You think they did not question that?
I'm just saying that 21,000 people voted.
Did he win?
He lost.
He lost.
Yes.
He lost. And based on some of the things he said, might have gotten to lose. Nobody in this country who has been appointed to run a particular ministry or to be part of a particular ministry, especially parliamentarians, they go and lobby to make sure that their constituencies get projects to be done in their constituency. So anybody who says, I use my personal money, if that is what the gentleman said, then he was wrong to say that. You cannot say that because you don't use your personal money to build roads in this country. You don't.
Okay.
Even those international institutions, international road companies that come in to build roads for us, once upon a time, they were paid by government, weren't they? Or they'll bring the money in and then government will find a way of reimbursing them. So I think in terms of parties, you always, politics is a group of people, and you always want to get more people in. So in situations like this, try as much as possible to get down to the nitty-gritties of what the challenge is and try and sort it out.
Okay, so Ellen Amma Deku is in the studio. She's a member of the New Patriotic Party's national communications team and one of the, should I use the word, Magajia women. Good morning to you, Amma.
Good morning.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
With your two boys as usual. Yes.
Good morning to our viewers. It's been a while.
Yes, it's been
here for a while.
I think I met you this week and I told you that this week you might be here. Yes. Okay. Yes. All right. So it's good you are here. So Amma, of course, your party went to this by-election in Ejoso. Some say it was tough. Some say it was expected and all that. I want your thoughts, but just as I pick your thoughts, Kwabena Gyamfi sends a message. He says MPP wants reconciliation with the electorate who voted for the independent candidate and not the candidate himself. Mr. Jantwa must take note.
Really?
Yes. That's somebody's comment.
He has support, doesn't he? So you can't talk to his people and not talk to him.
Well, okay, Amma. So it's your turn now. And from this last point, the reconciliation process that your party chairman announced, as you make your comments and observations about the Ejoso by-elections, what is the approach that Mr. Chairman is going to take to achieve this reconciliation agenda?
Good morning to Mr. Jantwa. Good morning to Ezekiel.
I haven't seen you in a while.
Welcome to the club. This is your first time here?
Yeah, first time on the show.
Okay, welcome.
Dr. Ezekiel.
Yes.
He's a Nino on this show.
Well, Ejoso, my condolences still to John Kuma's family, because in all this, he's the reason why we had this election. If God hadn't called him as he did, I'm sure we wouldn't be having this conversation. And his funeral is in about 2 weeks.
Yes, I think I saw on the 17th,
18th in his hometown of Onwe.
In fact, Onwe is my father-in-law's hometown.
Oh, okay.
So that's where he was buried. I was in Onwe for his funeral when he died. So
Right.
I have a personal attachment to Onwe. And Ellen knows what I'm talking about because we are family.
You are family with Ellen.
Yeah.
On my
he's
wife's
married,
side,
he's
yes.
married to my sister, my
Oh,
cousin.
really? Okay.
And
It's a small world, eh?
Yes.
Very, very small world.
so as we are discussing this, we are still mourning the loss of a great patriot, a young man who in all of us, our estimation, shouldn't have gone at this time. But then, since we are not God and God has what He's doing, we just have to manage it. So in our discussion of Edriso and everything, I think we should not forget the fact that the MP is still there. We have to do his funeral. So we should be circumspect in how we discuss it. Mr. Owusu Aduomi left the NPP a few years ago. He left with Mr. Alan Kyerematen. So he is not an NPP member. At the time he was going for this election as an independent candidate, he was not an NPP member. And I'm not the one saying he declared it himself. So the discussions about him and his effect in the NPP, we should not take it out from that history that he has, that he decided to join the Afafranto movement. And when you're discussing him with other MPs or MPP people who have gone independent, at that time they also went independent. They were pure hardcore MPP members. Formina was a certain MP at the time he went independent. So he was an MPP member. Mr. Honorable Joe Wise, at the time he went independent, he was an MPP member. He had not left the NPP. But Mr. Aduomi had left the NPP. So that is a fundamental difference. And then you ask what was his reason for leaving. Well, you cannot fault anybody for leaving. Even Mr. Alan Kyerematen left. So you cannot ask why Mr. Aduomi left. But one of his reasons that I heard around, I didn't hear from him, was the fact that he was no more appointed as the Deputy Minister for Roads. That's one of the things that was going on in the grapevine.
In 2021?
In 2021.
Okay.
That was one of the things that was going on. Whatever reason it is, we are all in a political party, and along the line, we are not happy with what goes on. So you can decide to leave and do what you want to do. But let's also not forget that he has been also a 3-time member of Parliament. So it would be very juvenile and naive on anybody's part to think that he does not have support. Somebody who has gone for elections 3 times and won, definitely he would have support. So let's not forget that. Now on his reason and the things he was saying when he was going his independent, I wouldn't have had a problem with him if he decided to go independent, went down on the grounds, did his campaign, and went for his elections. But from everything he said, he went independent because he was bitter. And he wanted to teach the NPP a lesson. You, one man, you want to teach the NPP a lesson. Chairman says he wants reconciliation with him. That is why he's chairman of the party. That is why he's Mr. Stephen Intim. That is why he's an elderly man. That is why he has gone through all the systems. He has gained experience. So he can go ahead and have a discussion with him. The new MP, the lawyer, also wants reconciliation. Of course, that is smart on his part because the guy got 21,000 votes. It might not be the guy that he likes, but the people who voted for him, we need them to vote for us. So for the two of them wanting reconciliation, excellent. You can go ahead. But the rest of us who are rank and file of the party, will tell Mr. Aduomi our peace of mind. And today I'll tell him. We are in a party. We all decided to join a party. You became an MP for 3 terms. His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo gave you a position as Deputy Minister of Roads. I don't have any position. Ezekiel doesn't have. A lot of us, thousands of us, do not have any positions. We are still in this party. So for whatever reason, for whatever happened, you forgot what His Excellency, and let's remember, it is not your due. There are other members of parliament who have been there for 3-4 terms. His Excellency did not give them any position, whether first term or second term. They haven't left. They haven't. So as a party member, and he's not a young man, he's in his 60s. And you decide that the party that has given you wings, the party that has lifted you up, the party that has made you who you are today, you are coming to teach the party a lesson. And you want us to build a bed of roses for you. We should give you birthday cake. We should give you what? We should pop champagne. Because you want to teach the MPP a lesson. As I said, chairman and the MP, as for them, they have to work with him. I don't.
Are you not part of the larger party?
What is it? And so I'm telling him the feeling of the larger party. And to the large extent, a lot of the people in Ejisu, at least the 26,000 or more who voted for the lawyer. The lawyer is a newbie. He just came on.
He was is it the first or second vice chairman of the constituency?
So once. I think that's one. He's gone once. He's been the.
It's his first time in that position.
First time in that position. So he's a newbie. You have been an MP for 3 terms. So if the people in Ejisu were happy with you, I'm sure they should have voted for you. But the vote for a newbie tells you that the rank and file of the MPP are not too happy with your decision. We all live in a society. For me, any person, unless you have justifiable means or you have really serious reasons for doing what you are doing, you do not sit in a society and decide that you are teaching the party a lesson. Chairman and the MP, as for them, they can be nice to you because we have elections on 7th December. The rest of us do not have to be nice to you. So, Mr. Jantua, we are not going to be nice to him. He's not our party member. He left with Afafranto, and he decided to go as an independent candidate. Whether the NDC supported him or not, it is neither here nor there.
That's why I'm saying that.
It is neither here nor there. This is an MPP fight. This is an MP. This is more like a primaries that we had in the MPP. Fortunately, this is a primaries that you win +1. Just one person. And so he lost. If I were him, I'll be ashamed of myself. It doesn't matter what the problem is. If we are all going to tell you the problems we have in this party, everybody would have left. That is why we have a party. And you are damn lucky. Deputy Minister of Roads. And you are angry because of what? And as the president said, when you came in 2008, you took out a whole minister for foreign affairs.
The then
member of parliament and the minister for foreign affairs. According to the president, he took over from him when he was going to run for the primaries.
I think this was in 2008.
That is what I'm saying.
Yes, because I remember.
And the party didn't collapse. The former minister didn't say he was going independent. The former MP, he stayed in. He helped you win, and you stayed in for 3 terms. John Kuma came against you once, he lost. He came again the second time and won. So what exactly is your problem? So hopefully, I'm hoping that chairman and the MP, it is a justice matter. I vote in Wenchi Bono. So it is their matter. It is family matter. I'm hoping that they can talk to him and bring him back. I mean, I don't think he will come back, but honestly, it's their cup of tea.
You envisage that he might come back and contest in December?
If he contests in December, it still won't make any difference. Ejisu is Ejisu. He can decide to contest. The NDC can even decide to let all the other people in the other constituencies, adjoining constituencies, come and register in Ejisu and vote for him. That is their cup of tea.
Is he still with Afafranto?
I don't know. That's his cup of tea.
But he hasn't.
He is not with the MPP.
I don't see how.
He hasn't
not with the MPP.
That he's no longer in Afafranto.
In Afafranto, he left. He was official. He was going around.
That is why I'm asking. Why do they want to reconcile if he's left?
That's why I'm trying to say that's up to chairman. Chairman, in his wisdom, and the MP in their wisdom, know why they want to do it. I am speaking as an ordinary MPP member, and speaking just like how the conversations we have and how we feel about him. We just think that he's a spoil sport, he's a bitter person, and he's just decided that if it is not me, it shouldn't be anybody else. But you came to take out somebody, and that person was gracious enough, he helped you out, and you don't want to do it for your party. I don't think it's far-fetched to say that he's a very selfish man. I'm hoping chairman and the rest can bring him back, but left to me.
Okay, so there's a question here. There's a question here for you, and Nick Pako Samoa Ado has also joined us. I will introduce him shortly. But Ama, there's a question here for you. He says that we can tell, and this is from Eunice Champoma. He says we can tell Ediome our peace of mind, but his concern was how the primaries between him and the late John Kumah were conducted and led to Kumah winning. In telling him our mind, let us be reflective as the chairman in team is trying to do.
John Kumah,
every vote matters.
Auntie Eunice, as I said, chairman can do his thing. That is why he's chairman. That is why he was voted in as chairman. Me, Elendeko, I don't have to be nice to him. I don't feel like being nice to him. I don't see why we should give him cakes and pop champagne because he went independent. And everybody is saying be nice, be nice. Be nice about what? Be nice about what?
Okay, so there's another message here from Abdul Basit Mahama to Mr. Jantwa and to the rest of us. He says that I agree with Mr. Jantwa largely on the matter of handling of the independent candidates in the Adwoso election. However, he appears to be crying more than the bereaved. Mr. Diomi had no regard for the doctrine of approbate and reprobate. He was attempting to benefit from an action in one instance and then disapprove of it in another instance. So you get the message that Mr. Abdul Basit Mahama is presenting. He's saying that you are trying to benefit from the fact that you were in the MPP and you did so much for a place based under the auspices of the party. Then on one side, you are standing up and saying that this party is bad. I want to teach them a lesson. So what you are claiming as your successes, you attribute them to the party that you say is so bad and you want to teach them a lesson.
So what else will he attribute it to?
He's on there.
What else can he attribute it to?
Yes, that's why
attribute it to anything.
That's why Basit is saying that you cannot approbate and reprobate.
It is a free world, isn't it?
It is.
He chooses to stand
also,
independent.
It is also a free world
and
for the MPP members.
You can't say that. I don't have a problem with your position. I don't have a problem at all. But what else would he campaign on? What? We won't talk about it. He wants to show that he's done something.
Okay.
Irrespective of the fact that he was in the MPP. So
all right.
It's politics.
Your party and Nipako Samoado is a lecturer at the Gimpa Law Faculty. He's a private legal practitioner. He's also a head of chamber at Ado and Ado Attorneys.
He's my lawyer.
But you forgot. You forgotten his position in the party.
No. We are not talking about that for now.
No, his branch. What do you call it?
Branch chairman.
Something of that sort. But that's important to him. His members are listening.
Well, so it turns out that we don't want to add that.
But he adds it all the time.
Okay. Just before you make
highest post.
Exactly. Just before you make your submission, let me read this one. So Baba Chairman says that in situations like this, I will always blame the party executives who meddle in the internal elections of the party. I must say in Akwetia is a clear example of the executives meddling in the internal elections and for that matter causing disaffection for the party. I agree with Amma in your studio. We must speak our mind to people like Mr. Diomi and his type. He must be left to go his way. If people like Diomi care to know, many of us are disgruntled by some actions or inactions of the party. But as a true party person, we keep supporting the party and the government. And that is a message there. And there's Alexander Ajay, who says that please tell Mr. Jantwa to be a panelist and stop being a host. Oh, Mr. Jantwa is being a host here. Okay. All right. Which other one having this? So this reconciliation talks about, about is necessary with Diomi as a person. It is about Adwoso because Adwoso is MPP and MPP is Adwoso. So the party wants to win back the full trust of Adwoso. So Ampofo is talking about the fact that this reconciliation effort is really about the people there. Diomi's independent symbol was a caterpillar with yellow color. So Diomi started butterfly movement and then to the NDC support. There are a lot of ingrates or ingratitude people in both MPP and NDC. This attitude should be treated with a pinch of salt. Diomi, like his boss Alan Hobson Adoye, Boabena Samoa, and Ohininto, are weird characters in the MPP. So those are the thoughts that people are sharing about us. Yes, your party said it was supporting Diomi. Why?
I didn't see any official statement like that.
Okay.
There was nothing like that.
Okay, but so why didn't they feel the candidates?
So let me Good morning to our wonderful viewers on ABC TV. Right?
We are wrapping up on this in the next 5 minutes because our time is fast.
Don't worry, I'll wrap it up. I'm a very happy man today, in respect of this particular topic. You see, in some situations, it is not about the coming out to be bellicose and being loud on the issue. It calls for sober reflection as a party, especially if you are the MPP. As for me at the NDC, I'm a very happy person. Happy because, I'm one of the people that was questioning my own party leadership as to why they didn't fill the candidate. I didn't understand. I wanted a scientific poll by the election as to how badly or well the MPP was doing, how our message was going down. I wanted to test the global analytics survey. But I realized that there was a lot of wisdom in the strategic move not to fill the candidate. Now, you see, when you study the global analytics survey and poll, the MPP, and I'm happy that they are blind to this, and they are, even if they are not blind to it internally, they know what is going on, but outside, they must put up a posture. If you don't understand the methodology of what Alan Kyerematen and his group are doing, Ejisu should be an example for you to understand what they want to do. Now, it seems this movement is targeting the Ashanti region first and foremost to draw away from the strength of the MPP in the Ashanti region. That's number one. Now, I keep hearing Hobson Adoye and other movement spokespersons emphasizing the fact that one of the primary reasons for the establishment of the movement is the fact that the MPP must go into opposition. They have repeated it times without number. And you might take it as they being just boastful, but if you look at the numbers and if you look at the poll and you compare what happened to Ejisu, then you begin to see the strategy that they have decided to deploy.
What is the strategy?
The Mr. Alan Kyerematen is polling under, or almost, let's say, about 10% in literally the polls that the most recent polls that we have. That is a very significant pull from the MPP, and his primary support is from the MPP support. He's not pulling from the NDC like he's pulling from the NPP. Now, 10% of the NPP vote nationally is a significant chunk, because you see, every party literally is supposed to start at what? 40% between the NDC and the NPP. Now, if you had a united front, and that's why those who were advocating for a Bawumia Allen ticket probably knew what they were talking about in terms of Mr. Pieni and the elders of the party, because
they were not Mr. Pieni. Which Pieni are you talking about? The former chief of staff.
No, he wasn't one. Which of the
economist?
One. No. Then I got them. Which of the party elders were the ones pushing for the joint ticket? Was former leader of parliament, the former majority leader.
Former majority leader, but I recall that there were
a couple of senior party.
Did I hear Ayikwe Otu say something of that sort?
I think so. So let us just say that those senior party members who were calling for a joint ticket probably knew what they were talking about, because you see, it was no person, and maybe the history deceived all of us, that no person or individual, and then DC has been the one to have suffered the most party defections. Dr. Obeda Samoa, Guzitando, Nana Akufo-Addo, Jima Rawlings. Nobody did 5% in the national poll. But Mr. Alan Kyerematen seems to be doing something different.
Seems
to be doing something different. And you see, yes, until we have a national
which is the real poll.
But you see, if you want to take Ejisu as an example, and if you want to use the the poll and use Ejisu as a backdrop to what had happened, you realize that it begins to look like if the butterfly movement is able to go after disgruntled, disaffected MPP members who probably have stood in elections before and for some reason are not happy or were not happy with the way. Take, for example, Yendi. What happened in Yendi in respect of the declaration of the results? That is a very disgruntled person. She's declared her acceptance of the decision by the National Executive. But you can see, if I were a mischievous person and if I was a strategist for the butterfly movement, these are some of the persons I would be targeting. You understand? So if you look carefully at, and if Ejisu is to be an example, I can understand why the MPP chairman is insisting that he has to go back and look at the issue of reconciliation. Because if you allow Ejisu to play out, imagine Ejisu plays out in the national election. NDC will contest in every constituency. Whatever it is, NDC will probably get, I don't know the last
election
presidential results in the Ejisu.
The NDC had about 17,000 or 14,000.
So imagine that. Imagine that the NDC contest, or they decide that they will form a strategic alliance with the butterfly movement, and the alliances need not be broadcast. Some are done behind the scenes. So, for example, in Ejisu, they may decide not to field a parliamentary candidate in selected areas in Ashanti. What it means is that an alliance or an alliance in the background, or any form of alliance between the NDC and the butterfly, could play very largely to the advantage of the NDC in respect of dealing with issues to do with the Ashanti region, because you have you would have an alliance partner who you can leave the Ashanti region to literally police for you, because one of our biggest headaches as a party is the Ashanti region and how we are able to police the Ashanti region. The persons who are behind the Afro-Fronto movement are from the MPP. So if they decide that, look, all the tricks, machinations, all the things that we need to do to be able to protect the ballot in the Ashanti region, leave it for us. And they have demonstrated by performance that we can get, because honestly, I was shocked to the bone at the performance of the independent candidate. You can't put your head in the sand and say that that man did not give the MPP a run for their money in Ejisu. For him to come as close as 21,000. The ultimate winner was 27,000. My God, that is a massive performance. If that is if he decides to go in December, you understand, and the NDC this also puts up a show in the Ejisu constituency and decides that, look, let's replicate this alliance in all the major constituencies in Ashanti region. If NDC even does 20% or 30% in the Ashanti region, that is a good enough reason for the NDC to be very expectant of victory in 2024 December. I think that the MPP cannot discount the effect of Afro-Fronto. And let me say, looking into the future, you see, if the Mr. Alain Tremantin, and clearly Mr. Alain Tremantin, if he's able to do the 10% and shows that he can be a kingmaker in national elections, he clearly would have the opportunity to be. Then the MPP probably will be looking at approaching him to see how they can talk, because So,
do I hear you suggesting? Do I hear you suggesting that it would appear from your discussion? It appears to me that you are suggesting the Afro-Fronto movement is not coming into an election necessarily to win.
Oh, obviously,
cause an upset.
No, obviously, they are there for some prime. And you see, all you do is to listen to their spokespersons.
Why would they want to do that?
One of the things is they want to punish the MPP. They want to send the MPP. Look, there's the same thing
after
that happened.
serving in the MPP.
But it happened to NDC. Guzi Tando's group punished the NDC in 2001. They decided that, hell, what they wanted to do was for us to test opposition. You see, opposition is a very bitter pill to taste, because you know what? There are a lot of, they feel, and I think some of them think that, look, in opposition, Dr. Bawumia will be vulnerable when it comes to a presidential primaries where he doesn't have the trappings of power. There could be other alliance talks, who knows, between the Kennedy Ajapong camp and the, what do you call it, and the Allen camp, for example. So going into opposition has many, many dynamics that could play out. And you can't tell. So you see, it was easy to dismiss Mr. Alain Tremantin because no independent candidate had ever really made a significant impact on the national election before. But if you look at Ejuso and you are looking at the polls that we have now, where he is doing better than at least even, let's say, 8%. Nobody has done that before. And so I think maybe the elders of the party like Mr. Intim and the rest who can see, sometimes when you're an elder, where you sit, you can see things that we, the younger people with the exuberance and all that, cannot see. The consequences, I believe, will be force some behind the scenes talks, either to at least, and maybe intelligence as well, to look at, number one, I think the MPP has proposed solutions, even though I shouldn't even be preferring any to them. Probably, and I think the party chairman has said the correct, or has said the right things. They probably have to go back, and especially the parliamentary candidates, look at every single one that is hugely aggrieved, and probably get them to sign an NDA that they will not contest in the December election. Because you know what? If Afofronto is able to replicate what they did in Ejusu in some of the significant constituencies, that will be the end of the. Then even the 2.5, I have predicted, based on certain polls I have seen, that the MPP probably will suffer a 2 to 2.5 million vote deficit in this coming December election. It probably will be the worst shackling that a presidential candidate has ever taken in a presidential election in this country. Okay,
so there is a message from, and I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you, Doc. We are changing over to Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia's campaign, which is ongoing. Let's quickly take up these messages, and then we'll start that. So, good morning, Wilberforce and your noble panelists. Political affiliation is like church membership. No one is being forced to join, but becoming a catalyst of distraction there. Honorable Ediomi and Alain Tremantin, Alan Cash won't be convinced to return. The late Dan Rocha was perfectly right in 2008 when he advised the MPP to forget about Honorable Alan Kojo Tremantin, but too democratic as they were has not justified him. MPP, too no will kill you. And Eunice Champoma comes to say that thank you, Nipapo, for your submission. These are hardcore truths. I hope Chairman in team will be able to do his best to bring all the disgruntled members to the party. That's a Herculean task, if you ask me. And
the man is a Afofronto, so yes, I don't see how that can be possible.
Anane Fosuhini says, ni NDC and diabolic. So you think MPP has no research officers to do away with your diabolics? And that's Patrick Anani Ofosu.
What I find interesting is the fact that you're using the results of a by-election. And they're using what? Global
info analytics.
Well, I mean, it's good. For me, I find it exciting that the NDC thinks that they have won this election already. I mean, it's good for us. So, yeah. What?
Quickly, we are changing over.
Honestly, believe that the independent candidate will perform as well?
Yes, we did, because he's been a 3-time member of parliament.
If you are honest enough to say that, you expect but to do as well as he did.
He has been a 3-time member of parliament. You think he has no people supporting him?
So, who do you think voted for him? Is it the MPP side of things or the NDC side of things?
You know something.
The disgruntled MPP and the NDC.
The late John Kuma has been, this was the second term, right?
Yes.
This was the second term. If I look at the kind of work that John Kuma did in the constituency, and still this man was able to pull the amount of votes that he pulled, it meant that he had resources beyond his personal resources to be able to run the campaign that he ran, to be able to get 21,000 and match the
by a 3-term MP.
No, so some of the conversations outside regular radio television conversations has it that John Kuma himself, may he so rest in peace, had some undercurrent challenges in the constituency.
Of course.
And so it will not be so accurate to say that maybe he outperformed the expectations of his people in the constituency and all that. But let's move on.
Yes,
let's move on the conversation. Look, Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia is on. Some people say he's on rampage.
I wish you could give me just a minute
to talk about this one. Okay, please go ahead.
To a large extent, I mean, we appreciate views, even those coming from non-MPP quarters, and I understand how my senior sister feels about Mr. Edomi and his posturing. Clearly, if you've had opportunity to contest for election on the ticket of the party for 3 terms, for which you've won, and amongst over 6 million voters who voted for the president, he made you a deputy minister of no less a ministry, and the Ministry of Roads, then clearly the NPP has done a yeoman's job to your person and your personality, I mean, in society. So clearly, I understand where my sister is coming from and the pain, I mean, in her submission. Largely, I believe the rank and file of the party feels the same, except the only part I differ a bit is the fact that, I mean, politics is about numbers. So, like I always say, and some of our some open dodo, so anyhow, any means, we get people
translate it into English.
Into
everybody who understands
our food.
Translate it to English.
Even the dead want numbers. How much more we the living? Clearly. So any means to get people back into our fold, to help us get the numbers to win the elections, I'm totally in support of such move. However, the other dynamics where I don't agree with Mr. Papo is that, I mean, clearly parliamentary votes are different from a presidential vote. The people of Fomena made it clear that they wanted the now second deputy speaker of parliament. They did not vote against the MPP in the presidential elections. And the example I cited with the Mpurugu by-elections, the MPP stayed away. CPP used the back door because MPP stayed away to win the
by-elections party.
Yes, in 2013.
You can comfortably say
when
that.
It got to the general elections in 2016, the overwhelming endorsement was given to Mr. Mahama. So we can't compare the dynamics of parliamentary elections to the dynamics of general elections for the presidency. Once again, turnout was low. I don't believe that anyone affiliated with the NDC or affiliated with Mr. Domi stayed at home not to vote during the elections. But looking at the numbers and the expectations of the voter registry, clearly the voter turnout was very, very, very low. So going back into 2024 elections, I believe the turnout will be higher. And anyone, without any scientific record, any scientific study, anyone coming on board to vote again during the general elections, I believe majority, if not less than 80%, is going to go for the NDC. Once again, MPP. The Global Info Analytic, I mean, I've had calls to ask a few questions. Prior to the MPP primaries, we thought that they had predicted some form of a win for Mr. Alan Martin. Then I was on radio, I was on TV with the boss of Global Info Analytics. And when I brought that up, he told me emphatically that his sample size and the population he chose the sample size from was not the MPP, contrary to what majority of us thought, that you went interviewing MPP delegates. He then told us on the show that the population was ordinary Ghanaian, not MPP delegates, but the general populace or the general voter registry.
I've also heard some analysts saying that when they did the checks on his sampling, they realized that his samples were taken mostly from places where they are known to be strongholds of the NDC.
I mean, people have varied reasons to reject such polls. But if you go to Ghanaians and you ask them, amongst people contesting, who do you want to see as a candidate? And by large extension, who do you want to see as a president? And 58% of the ordinary Ghanaian, 54%, sorry, of the ordinary Ghanaian choose Mr. Alacha Martin to be a candidate and by extension a president. And then few months down the line, you come and you give Mr. Tremartin less than 10% without ascribing any reason as to why he dropped from 54% to 10%, then clearly there is a serious gap in your research. We are all students of research. So clearly there's a serious gap in your research. So anyone listening to us, we understand the dynamics, the political dynamics of global info analytics. They are doing 1 month, 1 survey policy just to skew the narrative, just to skew the thought of Ghanaians that, oh, the election is gone. NDC has won the elections.
Doc.
Clearly, that is what global info analytics is doing. We do not leave anything to chance. However, we do not trust the results or the research being churned out by global info analytics. They are more of an opposition entity than a group which is doing an academic work to help our elections.
Okay, still staying on you.
Business.
To quickly,
business.
Somebody's being paid for
A business.
Because clearly, just to
business,
end, you go to his Facebook page and he's sharing certain stories believed to be in bad taste for MPP as a neutral who just churning out academic work.
But these things have to be expected.
I mean, so that's what I'm saying, that
politics.
the impression being created that the election is a foregone conclusion, we should, reject it with
in
all
fact,
the contempt.
Info Analytics predicted that in the Ejisu by-election, the MPP candidate was going to get 50%, and the NDC candidate was going to get 49%.
And he then introduced the element of the plus or minus.
That close.
The margin of error.
Yes, that close.
He then
margin of error in a typical research is plus or minus what? 3 or 4
3 to
or
5%.
Yeah.
Yes.
His was
Maximum
how much?
5.
15.
He said 3.4% for his.
Okay.
Yeah. So if that's the margin of error, and then we go to the real polls, and the difference is about 14%, it questions your research.
Is it a business?
So, we in the MPP understand what is going on in global analytics.
So there's Mr. Ampofu who says, please, Adiomi has been MP for 12 years. And as recently as 2022, he contested for regional chairman for the party. So this is the kind of person we're dealing with. Adiomi performing well is not surprising.
Not surprising.
And then Mr. Stackman says that looking at what happened in Ejisu, this MPP party should seriously be afraid. This lawyer had the whole party apparatus. So what's he saying? This party apparatus behind him, the president, the vice president, etc., were all there to support his campaign. Okay, so your message is not conclusive. So the other one, he says that for Musa Dankwa and his outfit, they conduct a poll on Nanado Nima resident. Still, JDM will win. Okay, so essentially to say that if they conduct a poll in the president's own residence, JM will still win. Okay, and then it says that so NDC and MPP, which party has retrogressed? And that's a question that Patrick is asking. MPP, NDC, which couldn't represent and present a candidate but has won. Okay, so I don't understand the message, but that's how it is written. And then I think I've read the Eunice Champoma. Okay, so Dr. Ezekiel. Dr. Bawumia has started his campaign and he's out and about. Some people say he's on rampage. Some other people say he's rolling. So many adjectives are being used. From what you said, what do you see? This one-on-one campaign, door to door, house to house, gutter to gutter, street to street, market to market. Is it the way to go for 2024?
This is actually testing mic 1-2. The real Jama session is yet to start. He just, doing a few testing mic sessions with the first round of tour he's having. A very special greetings once again to the flag bearer. Very humble. A unified entity, and one that we believe possesses the vision and the aspiration of the Ghanaian today, and the one who looks into the future to be able to predict what the future beholds for the whole world and how Ghana will be able to position ourselves for the future. So Dr. Bawumia, a very good morning to you wherever you are, and we believe that with this strategy being deployed for the elections, you can clearly see the organic outpour of love and admiration for the person of Dr. Bawumia and who he has been and he's metamorphosed himself to become over the years. We are not renting crowd to go and meet our flag bearer. He's moving on the street. He's going house to house, shops to shops, workplace to workplace, touching base with the people and delivering or availing himself to the people for them to at least see him for who he is, experience him for who he is, because over the years it's been on screen and social media appellations that we keep throwing at him. When we say he's humble, have you experienced his humility? When he say he's a visionary, have you experienced him speaking? When he say he has the vision and the policies that will change the fortunes of the country and prepare and place the future leaders of this country to be able to take up the mantle of leadership and positions in the future and in the world as large. Have you ever had opportunity to experience Dr. Bawumia? That's clearly from where I stand, Dr. Bawumia is doing. And of course, he respects every fabric of society. So the first point of call in every community he enters is the community leadership. And then his respect for religious dynamics and religious entities in our community. His second point of call everywhere he enters is the religious leaders. The fact that he's able to bring together the two major religious bodies within the country, the leadership of the two major religious bodies together, to have a session with them, for them to ask him questions, for them to tell him what they expect of him should he become president, and for him to also get the opportunity to tell them what he intends to do, and the role every institution has to play in our governance processes is very key. Remember, he's promised them some incentives when he gets the opportunity as religious bodies. Don't let us just look at them as partners in development. Religious bodies building schools, building hospitals, and a host of other social interventions they are doing to help the ordinary Ghanaian and the Ghanaian community as a whole. But how the government of the day can also help such institutions, Dr. Bawumia has had opportunity to explain his vision and how he intends to even help the religious community as well. And one thing that stood out yesterday that I saw from his campaign trail that I was so touched is the policy of the introduction of free tertiary education to the less privileged vis-a-vis those with disability in society. It marks social inclusion and the fact that the country is running on high heels and we are not leaving behind anyone. Your disability should not be a disability to your progress. Dr. Bawumia has recognized that indeed, in moving forward, and the fact that I'm proposing to expand educational facility and learning materials across the country, the fact that I seek to position the Ghanaian youth, teach them the skill that is relevant today and tomorrow. I'm not leaving behind those with disability. They have a crucial role to play in the country. They have a crucial role to play in our forward march as a people. So yes, what I intend to do for this group of people is to make sure that whenever they get the opportunity to enter university, the Ghana government will bear the cost of their tuition and accommodation. It sends a very encouraging signal to those people that don't look at your current circumstance, whatever you are going through today, whatever deficit physically you are carrying today. It shouldn't determine how you become or who you turn out to be in future. You can become the doctor you want to be because yes, on the job, we see people, excuse me to say, with disabilities. You can become the lawyer you want to be. You can become the artist you want to be. So get that confidence. See yourself like any ordinary person, except you were born with some physical impairments. Dr. Bawumia is giving hope to the hopeless to become somebody.
Some people say that the legwork is not going to be that easy because the land space in Ghana is huge. And having started this way in May, is he going to be able to continue this legwork through the month of May, June, July, August, September, October, November, until December when the election is? A lot of legwork.
Anyone who knows Dr. Bawumia should be able to know that Dr. Bawumia can start even from January and finish the next year, January. He's workaholic. The people close to him, if you ask him, when does he leave home? As early as 5 a.m., he's out of the house to go and work. And he returns as late as 11 a.m., provided there are 11 p.m., provided there are no meetings to keep him in the office. He leaves very early in the morning. He returns very late at night, even as vice president. And like I said, anyone close to him would know that Dr. Bawumia is workaholic. And of course, he's 60 plus, but he acts like the youth like a 40-year-old person, and he has the exuberance and the energy to go from door to door. And he's not doing that simply because he had the strength. He is doing that because he recognizes the peculiar nature and the peculiar role of the Ghanaian voter, such that I should not communicate to the Ghanaian voter through media means alone, or through social media, or by TV, or by air. I need to be there to tell the person what I intend to do. I need to be there to offer my CV to such people. So he's not doing it simply because he had the strength. He's doing it because he respects the Ghanaian. Such that, yes, I want to be president. I'm coming to you firsthand. Experience me. And you see him taking notes when the youth are asking him questions. He's writing his own notes. Every question you are asking him, he's not relying on someone to paraphrase your question. He's writing those questions down to give you his personal answers to those things. So he's touching base, not because he's strong. He's touching base because he recognizes the peculiar role and nature of the Ghanaian voter and how much he needs to come close to you, such that when he comes again next time, you'd have the prerequisite effrontery to tell him that 4 years ago you came to me and I asked you this, or I told you this, and you also relayed so and so to me. Have you been able to accomplish it? So it's out of respect for the ordinary voter that Bawumia is doing this, and he had the strength to complete it.
It's door to door, gutter to gutter, street to street, market to market,
work to work.
It's not a joke.
Room to room.
Even
if it requires dawn broadcast, as we saw in time past, but Bawumia will still do a holistic dawn broadcast, and we should expect him in our communities everywhere.
So there's Dodu who says that, first let me start with Awundi Samuel, who says that I'm amazed how Mr. Jantua did not see anything wrong with what Speaker Bagbin is doing, deliberately stalling government business. If it was Akufo-Addo, he would lambast. So, Ms. Jantua, so you have a friend
about the speaker? What did I say?
Don't worry.
I said it's in his court.
Okay. So George Ampofu says that the Team Bawumia campaign is very energetic. He is touching base with the people. The first time a sitting vice president going this route. Mills did same before, but he was an opposition leader then. And my only concern is the security detail must be extra vigilant, because this country has some of us, some of us are naturally born bad. Okay, so he's actually calling for beefed up security. So, Ms. Jantua, the Bawumia bus is moving around. It started in the eastern region. It went first to Akuapem North, I believe, and then came down to Koforidua, jumped all the way to Dominikwabenya, and then from Dominikwabenya, set off to the western region, continued to the western north region. We do not know where it's next. I'm just trying to pick your thoughts on this model. What model really do you see? Because usually, the past models I've seen, the candidate will go to one region and stay there for a while doing campaign across board. But this one, it looks like the presidential candidate is doing constituency to constituency, and he's not doing it in one region. So you go to the eastern region and there are, let's say, 28 constituencies. So you visit all the 28 and wrap up, and then go to another region. He's just doing one here, one there, one here, one there. What do you think about the ongoing campaign strategy adopted by Team Bawumia?
It's not new, is it new?
Well,
it's not new. When in 2008, we all thought that President Akufo-Addo was winning the election, what happened? He lost because of the model that former President Atta Mills took. And nobody heard what President Atta Mills was doing door to door. Whether the strategy of jumping from one to the other is a strategy that he feels would work for him, that is up to he and his campaign team. And he knows why he is doing it that way. When you look at the narrative that is going, it says that Dr. Bawumia and his campaign team are promising an issue-based campaign, one that will focus on cogent, practical, and tailor-made ideas to deal with issues that are most dear to the Ghanaian people. Vice President Bawumia is the Vice President of Ghana. He's not an opposition candidate. the vice president of Ghana. Some of these things should be very obvious to him. He knows
Some
it.
of which things?
Some of the things I talked about. He said what? That his campaign will focus, he promises to focus on an issue-based campaign, one that will focus on cogent, practical, and tailor-made ideas to deal with issues that are most dear to the Ghanaian people. As vice president, you don't know what is most dear to the Ghanaian people. He knows what is most dear to the Ghanaian people. My particular issue, the one that we just heard, the recent one we just heard, which Doc 2 has referred to, the PWD one. Test it now. Test it now. You're vice president. You've come up with so many things that you want to do. You are vice president. You are still in power. You are not out of power. You are still in power.
But he's asking to be president. So he wants those to be the achievements of his presidency.
So some of those things that are good, we can't use it now. This PWD one he's talking about, we cannot use it now. It won't help now. This is something can help now. And if he says his driver would not accept, go and beg him. Go to your boss and say, look, some of the issues I'm raising, some of the things I want to do, some of the vision that I'm doing, let me show the Ghanaian people that it would work. Let's test some now and let it work. Based on it working, it gives you a much better, what do you call it?
But Mr. Anto, if it is a policy, is it not something that has to be worked out? Because he's saying that this is what I envisage I can do. It is a policy he's trying to come up. It has to be designed. It has to be fashioned out. So if you say that he's coming up with a policy for a future possible Bawumia government, and you say it should be tested now, is it not jumping the gun?
What's jumping what gun? He's vice president. What Yakunyim?
Yes,
what Yakunyim?
He's campaigning as a presidential
Yes,
candidate.
he's campaigning as a presidential candidate. What he said about the PWs, I'm just using as an example, is required now, is needed now. Why should we wait till he becomes president? It is needed now. It is something that would help them now. So say to yourself, this is what I envisage to do. However, I realize that it is something that would help disabled people now. So we are going to try and see in this our present term that we are still in power, we are going to try and put it in. And even if you start the policy now, and you know that you are going to win the next election because of some of the things they are saying, and because of some of the things that Dr. Ezekiel and my sister Amma will say with regards to Dr. Bawumia, isn't it the best time to do it when you are sitting in power? You have power. I will not question some of the things he's saying. It's the people of Ghana who would question, the people of Ghana who will decide whether Vice President Bawumia has been honest with them, has been transparent with them, and whether they see him as a candidate who, going forward, the internal pressures that he himself is going through within the MPP, whether he'll be able to handle it going forward. It is a key issue. And my sources tell me that he wasn't and was never in favor of e-levy. Fought against it. Never in favor of e-levy. So you come and you cancel it, and those who brought it in feel that you have done what? But wait. He says, I'm going by his word. I said, I'm going by his word, Ni. He has told us. I said, he has told us that he will cancel it. If he doesn't cancel it, then he hasn't been truthful to the Ghanaian people. He has, but the fact that it won't be the first doesn't mean it is right. And this is the challenge we have with Ghanaian politics. You see, you campaign, you come in and you campaign. You say so many beautiful things, so many nice things. And then in the end, you can't fulfill. The list of things President Akufo-Addo said when he was coming in. You make Odo River the tourist site. Accra would be one of the most, what do you call it? Has he been able to achieve it? Don't stop me. Has he been able to achieve it? I said, has he been able to achieve it? So you've got to be very, yes, you want to win an election. The things you say that to win, if you want to win an election, should be very practical. Very, very practical. And if you realize, the old form of getting to the people seems to be dying. What is it? Huge rallies. Huge rallies. Right now, because of the advent of social media and all these types of things, that is the place to go to do your campaign. So, if the vice president feels that he wants to crisscross the country and not do one package here, another package here, one package here, another package there, it is his right. What will his opposition do? What will opposition parties do? Maybe some of them will stick to concentrating on particular areas once they get in there. So if they get into Ashanti, they do the entire thing. But you see, the other challenge, and this is where Electoral Commission comes in. I don't think the Electoral Commission have been doing their job well on that, in terms of where parties are getting their finances from to do these campaigns. That is a huge key in terms of the finances doing these campaigns. Don't you think the people need to know how that is being got by the political parties? If we have a system where we are being very honest with ourselves and being transparent with ourselves, shouldn't we question? Because that plays a huge role, and that would kind of gear a political party to a particular area or a particular style, because the finances too is a problem. I like the idea that he has a bus that he's traveling with.
But I was just about to ask you that.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
That he's a bus, and Vice President Bawumia is trying to give us a picture of he not being extravagant. When you look at his billboards, it's only nowadays I've seen one or two huge billboards around. Most of his posters are small, posters, trying to give us that idea that, I'm not extravagant.
Are you saying that he's trying to give you an idea, or that you think that really the vice president's posturing has been one of modesty?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying he's trying.
He's trying.
Yes.
Okay, so there's Tijani on Facebook who says Dr. Bawumia has shown modesty, humility, and cost reduction by the use of bus for his campaign. Let some of the media houses pretend they haven't seen that.
Oh, look,
and that's Tijani.
Look, all the political parties can decide to use a bus. In fact, some of us in the 2020 elections, some of us said, look, for the CPP to really make an impact, let's try as much as possible to get a bus branded CPP and use that to go around the country for people to see that, they are still alive. It's a good idea.
Okay.
A lot of countries do it. A lot of countries do that with their elections. So it's a good idea.
In fact, some countries, they have a bus, they have an aeroplane, they have a helicopter.
Don't even go there, because they have the wherewithal to do it. The other question is that when Dr. Bawumia is traveling, does he go by air and meet the bus there, or he's sitting in the bus?
He sits in the bus
as the bus is traveling.
Yes. Everywhere they are going.
So in that case, there's security. Is this? Listen, is the security? Hang on, let's look at this. Is the security government security, or is the security party security?
No, he's vice president.
Yes.
So he's entitled to state security.
So he's entitled to state security, but is he entitled to state security when he's campaigning for his party?
He remains a vice president.
And even the former president John Mahama
Please,
I
beg, please, Amma.
As former president, he's entitled.
Amma, listen, Amma, I'm throwing a general question. Whether sitting, in this Fourth Republic, they've all done it. NDC, MPP, they've all done it. So
they've all done what?
In terms of using government machinery to campaign, it's done. Nobody can tell me that Dr. Bawumia isn't using a modicum of government machinery to campaign. Nobody can tell me. No one can tell me that he's campaigning only as a party, this thing, and not using his position.
He has parked all the official cars allotted to him, and he's using a bus.
There's more to it than just cars.
Okay.
You know it. There's more to it than just cars. There's more to it than cars.
So trying to manage the time is done. So yes, you wrap up on this point.
Yes.
Please come to the microphone.
So the impacts, the impacts of the style of campaigning, will show on 7th December.
Is it not already showing for you?
Not that I can see.
Okay.
Not that I can see, because people still.
There's a lot. What more do you think he should be doing?
There is a class of people who will swing the election, and this class of people are the ones who haven't decided. There's a certain percentage who are MPP, there's a certain percentage who are NDC, there's a certain percentage who are floating, and they can switch the election. So let's see what happens. But it's going to be an interesting time.
Okay, so I'll come to you, Ama, but let me deal with Nick Bako on this matter. So, Nick, what is the discussions going on in the NDC rank and file since Dr. Bawumia started his campaign?
Are we supposed to be having a discussion on him? I'm focused on showing that I have very competent party polling agents who are ready to ensure that the correct entries are done in the pink sheet. We submit our pink sheet on time. We are well trained, tally the numbers properly, word against figures. We've been undergoing serious training. Lawyers, we've been preparing ourselves. So I think that for us, the focus is clear. I keep saying that Dr. Bawumia and his handlers are just being strategic. Deep down their hearts, they know that this is the launch of the 2028 campaign for Dr. Bawumia. We say it as it is. I mean, okay. There's no point in we are not hypocrites and sycophants in this studio. We say it as it is. If you like it, fine. If you don't like it, you can close your ears. The point is this: the NP, and I keep saying that the MPP has a certain strategic advantage against the NDC when it comes to the 2028 election. God being good, all of us will be healthy, alive to witness the 2028 elections. The 2024 elections, for me, I think it's a foregone conclusion. As I sit here, I don't think that there's any. But you see, the NDC.
You say the 2024 elections
is foregone? It's a foregone conclusion.
What do you mean by foregone?
It's a foregone conclusion.
What do you mean by foregone?
You can quote me. You can quote me. You can quote me here that I say that Dr. Bawumia would lose by not less than 2.5 million votes.
Okay.
And for me, for the 2028 election, I think that Dr. Bawumia has taken a very strategic leap forward. One, nobody else would have the opportunity to have himself being put on the national, on the national ticket as an MPP presidential candidate post the Nana Addo era. And that would be a selling point as an opposition leader. Because all he would do is tell you that, look, immediately the campaign is the election is over. These are the facts, and the facts are clear. President John Mahama cannot serve another term, so there will not be a second term for President John Mahama. I am the last person that the Ghanaians have, or Ghanaians will recognize in terms of being the most popular face in the MPP. Anybody that contests me is now coming to have to start from ground zero. I don't have to start from ground zero. Those are the same things that President Nana Addo said when he was in opposition. Immediately he loses an election, he starts the campaign the very next day. And he's going to copy the same playbook. All the people around him will come here and come and tell you the same thing. That, look, let's have an early primary because we need to start early for the 2024 election. NDC cannot hold an early primary because there'll be a sitting president and a sitting vice president. We have a lot of disadvantages when it comes to the 2028 election. And so I think this, I always say that this 2024 election is a blessing and a curse. A blessing in the sense that, yes, we will taste power again. But it's a curse because we have to be able to carefully navigate a post-JM era. And we will be doing that in the election year itself. Because all the parties who come into power hold their presidential primaries very close to the end of the last but 1 year, or even into the year itself. And it's going to be a serious struggle for us. Ministers who will be sitting ministers who would be interested in the presidency would have
But this transition you are talking about, would it be something you would do win or lose, or you just do it win? Lose, you might not be invited to do it.
I am clear in my mind, as I said, in me analyzing Vice President Bawumia's campaign, I'm telling you that I am analyzing it in the future. I am telling you that this is a launch for the 2028 presidential ticket. It has nothing to do with the 2024 election. The 2024 election is just a poster boy. He's coming in to test his nerve. He will look probably, if he does, I think that if he does 40%, that is a huge win for him. If Dr. Bawumia first time does 40%, it will be a huge win. Looking at all the issues.
You mean 40% national elections?
I'm telling you, especially because, well, especially because.
But are you aware? Are you aware about what some political scientists have said, that in Ghana, if you were voting, yes, there's a certain part of the people who vote NDC.
Oh, I know. That was the presumption before.
And you think the MPP's one is 40%?
I'm saying that was before the Allen fact.
What is the NDC percent?
Both sides, both of us do the 40-40.
Oh, okay.
That's normally this thing. Both of us do the 40-40. Then we clamor for the 10% floating voter population. I'm telling you that Dr. Bawumia is going to suffer the worst shackling that a political figure has ever taken in terms of presidential election. And that is fine, because look, you need to go through the fire before you can get to where you are getting to. Most of the presidents we've had in this Fourth Republic have gone 2-3 times. So there's nothing wrong.
Did Mahama go through the fire before becoming president?
Of course.
Before becoming president?
No, he was becoming because he was vice president. But he was on a ticket that lost. I believe the John Mahama, Mills, 20. That was he didn't lose. He was the first. He was lucky. He was the because we changed vice presidential candidate. That's true. But he also suffered a defeat, 1 million votes, the biggest margin.
When he was president.
I said that was the biggest margin by sitting president 1, and 2 by any candidate in a presidential election. And that is good. It's good. You see, if you haven't suffered defeat, you don't appreciate the power that you hold. And so for me, it is good when you go through opposition before you come to power. One, it tells you your friends from your enemies. Those who are around you are sycophants, and those who truly love you. Those who walk through there. And there's a famous picture of President Nana Addo in water. And I look at the people that were walking with him in that river or whatever it was, a flood situation. Have you seen that picture? You've seen that picture?
Yes.
I saw the director for operations,
Lord
Comey, in that picture. I saw a couple of people. And so when we've walked through the water with you and we come to power and you reward me with a position, why should I?
You don't think that Dr. Bawumia standing by the side of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo in 2008, 2012, 2016,
but he was not the candidate.
Yes.
It's different. And that's why he is campaigning, saying that there are things that he has no control over as vice president. And that when you vote him as president, he will be able to have the authority.
How surprised would you be if Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia ends up winning the 2024 election?
It is impossible.
By 52%.
It is impossible. Trust me, I'm telling you, it is impossible. If Dr. Bawumia should win this election, that would be the biggest political upset in the history of this country.
Okay.
It's not going to happen.
Okay, we'll take you by the way.
Let me just land by saying that I think that he's doing all the right things in respect of winning the internal primaries for 2028. He's campaigning, he is putting himself out there. I think he should focus on doing very well in the 2024 election. At least he should try and do 35%. He should try and do 35%.
Interesting.
Because the 30% are shaky.
Okay, so there's Chum Daku on Facebook, and I'm coming to you, Amma. There's Chum says that I am very thrilled by the campaign strategy of Dr. Bawumia. It's electrifying, energetic, innovative, and down to earth. I beg you, the NDC is dazed by this strategy, and they didn't see this coming. I have been scanning through the media, and Mr. Mahama campaign is Yamutu. because he has now taken to social media and making all sorts of commentary, leaving much to be desired. Okay, so that is Chum. And again, it says, Nick Papo Samoado, this your analysis is in serious paralysis. Hey, your demeanor says it all. I can safely say you don't even believe in what you are saying. Okay, then there's George Ampofu, who says that Ni Yatiabre sending your lawyers to each polling station, but it is all failed. Wilberforce, don't be surprised Ni saying the election is already won. Mosquito has just Mosquito has said they have shared the positions already. Okay, did he say they have shared the positions, or he says that don't stop sharing, win first before you share? I think that's what I heard him say. Okay, so thank God you are in the studio to say what you want and not what the real situation is. So we won't even close our ears to what you are saying. And then there's Abdul Basit Mahama, yes, the regular man, the man himself. So he has some very interesting things to share with Ni Papo this morning. He says that Ni has made a lot of unscientific assumptions about the potential potency of the movement for changes, assumed or implied political strategy. He has also introduced a constant in the political equation, and this constant is that the fortunes of the NDC cannot depreciate or can only appreciate. Therefore, his perceived impact of Alan will naturally endure to their benefit.
Let me give him one.
Let me finish reading.
Okay. Let me
finish reading. Ni cannot defend this analysis in any viva voca. Yes, so it is a truism that in any parliamentary election there are only two candidates or two outcomes, a winner or a loser. There is no room for a position called he performed so well. There is therefore no seat in parliament for a member who lost but performed well. Elections are quantitative and not qualitative. Mahama from Ashaman. Thank you, Mahama, for your message. Yes, me.
Today, as we speak, fuel is 15 cedis. Look, if you are anybody who is driving, and those are all of us who buy our own fuel, we are crying internally. Do you understand? Fuel has a cascading effect on transportation. I sit in an office with persons who are employees. Everybody is up. Boss, what is happening? Transportation, you have to do something about transport. So if you're an employer, if you are an ordinary person, even just fuel alone, that's what I'm telling you, that if Dr. Baumian should get more than 30%, I'll consider it to be a performance. Because his government is a colossal failure, even on transportation cost alone.
Okay. Nice. Oh, okay. So Tijani says that I totally disagree with Mr. Jantwa. Policies take time to be implemented. Stating your vision doesn't mean you can implement it, or because the person is a vice president. Mr. Jantwa, he says that Mr. Jantwa is only overstretching the issue. I think it has to do with Mr.
So you have the power now to start the process.
Yes,
start it and let's see.
But Tijani says that policies take time for them to be implemented.
But
you can state the vision, and then you work towards implementing it. If he states the vision now, and you say that because he is occupying the position now, he should implement it now, then you're not giving him the opportunity to plan the policy out, think the policy out.
Are you trying to tell me that he's just saying it?
No.
He hasn't thought about it. He hasn't planned it out. He doesn't know how he's going to execute it. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
What you are suggesting, that's not what I'm saying.
If that is what you're trying to tell me, then all the things he's telling us,
no, so Tijani is not saying that. Tijani is saying that he's making a policy proposal. The policy proposal has to be fitted into his program if you elect him as president. But you are saying that even though he's proposing a policy for a would-be presidency, he should implement it now because he's vice president.
You can put it in now to test it.
Okay, Ama, so it's your turn. Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia's campaign is on. I know you are a bona fide member of that campaign team. I'm sure Ezekiel is also playing his own role there. But share with us, beyond what we have seen, what should we expect? Where is the bus stopping next?
The bus is in Kumasi this morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I see.
And
I didn't know that.
yes, I'm sure from what I'm picking up, they will be in the Western North region. So, when you are campaigning on your party's tickets, you build on the successes of the party. And for a party that has been in government for 8 years, you build on the successes of your party. Where you couldn't perform or where you couldn't deliver, you admit I couldn't deliver on this particular point, but going forward, this is what we are going to work on it. His Excellency the Vice President and the presidential candidate for the NPP and the next president of Ghana in January 2025 has started his campaign. Before he started, the rest of us in the campaign team have already been in the regions. We've been there for more than 6 months. Every one of us has been assigned a region, and we are there and we are working. So what he is coming to do is come and see Ghanaians, talk to Ghanaians, and let them actually feel and see him and actually tell him their issues. So Vice President Bawumia said when he becomes president, people living with disabilities would have free university education. He's saying that based on something that has been done by the NPP government, and that is free SHS. In 2008, the NPP candidate then, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, with Vice President Bawumia as his running mate, promised Ghanaians that when we come into power, we would have the free SHS. It has been running for the past 8 years. You can have issues with it, you can bastardize it, you can do whatever it is. But free SHS has been running for 8 years. So if Vice President, who is running for president and will become president, says that building on what we have done, we are now moving it a step forward to make sure that we include everybody in this society who has gone through, most of these students, the people living with disabilities who will be enjoying this system would have gone through the free SHS system. And so after they're going through it and going through the system and passing, the Vice President feels that this is what he should do. You are here asking him that he should implement it now, and that what is the possibility that he cannot do it when he was part of the group that implemented free SHS. That is why we have records. That is why you go back. So you pick the MPP's records in education. What have they done? What did they say they would do? What have they done? Therefore, looking at what they have done, can they do this? You have a problem with this one. But for somebody who went around telling all Ghanaians that free SHS is 419, after 8 years is turning corner, is going up and down, rolling on his head, telling us that he's coming to do it better. That's why you believe him. This one, he sponsored adverts against free SHS. And free SHS is targeted at people who could not afford education. I don't have to come and tout the benefits of free SHS. You can have problems with it. You can have problems with how it was implemented. Whatever it is, it will be solved. It is being solved, and it has helped people. Now, the Vice President, who was the second in command with his boss, they formulated the free SHS policy 14 years ago. 208 is how many years ago? They went
8 is 16 or
16 years ago, told Ghanaians over and over again. He's saying that building on it, we are going to do this. He says it's not possible. Anyway, I mean, the man himself, according to NDC, they have won already. They have won with the person who said he has no policy. I haven't yet seen his policy in education. His policy in Agrek that I have heard is in Kukobuonko. I haven't seen any policy in anything. He is shouting here, and fuel is 15 cedis, which I agree. We all know how it got to 15 cities. We all know the sort of system we've all been going through the past few years. So the question I asked the NDC is, fine, if you can, what are you going to do about the fuel prices? Are you going to sell it to 3 cities? And then he tells me, we haven't made any promises. So what are you coming to do? The question I will ask you, I'll always ask the NDC. You are bringing, as I call him, and Dada, same old, Dada Noah. What is he coming to do? You know, he gave us free advice. Perhaps I can also give the NDC free advice. It might be too late. But when you are coming with somebody who has been president before, who lost, as you said, the greatest loss ever for a sitting president, for any political figure by over 1 million votes, who has sat home for 8 years, has had the benefit of seeing everything that is happening in the world, and he wants to come back. Shouldn't he by now be telling Ghanaians that with the benefit of hindsight, I think this is what we can do to make sure that all of us, our situations are better? You are not saying anything. You are not giving us any alternative. The person who has been in the system for the past 8 years has seen how things are going, is working on it, is telling you that because I have worked on something, I can do it better. You don't have any counter reply for him. And so for me, I believe that His Excellency the Vice President is very clear on what he wants to do with Ghana. And he has, over the past, 6, 7, 8 months, been telling Ghanaians in every single sector what he wants to do. He has admitted that, yes, we've gone through issues, but we need to solve the issues. He's now competing with somebody who has been here before, has no plan, nothing. He says, just bring me back because it is 8 years. We should bring you back for what? What exactly are you bringing? So the NDC in education, what will you do? You say you will better free SHS. How are you going to better it?
Remark WASSCE papers.
He will remark the WASSCE papers. Yes, that one. So that he should let us know.
You remark which WASSCE papers?
Yeah. But he said the students
the students were given the questions.
The ones who have scholarships
and they were
the
claim, and they were passed because we want to make SHS look good.
Okay.
So they should let us know policy statement. So assuming the free SHS that you said wasn't good, now it is good. You make it better. How? Mining and its issues. Galamsey, what are your plans? Agriculture, what are your plans? The finances and the economy, what are your plans? Ghanaians are not going to vote for you just because you say it is 8 years and you should vote for you. And therefore, if you think that the elections is an already pre-done situation, we are just waiting for an announcement for your candidates just on the basis that he has been former president before, so he has to come back. Okay. And he is telling me that the whole MPP system, Dr. Bawumia will get 30%. Okay. 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 That is all I can say. Okay.
That's very ambitious.
Okay, let's see what will happen. But Dr. Bawumia, I can tell you, being part of his campaign team, all of us are damn serious. Dr. Bawumia is going to be the next.
Is he campaigning like? Is he campaigning like he's in the opposition?
That's the plan.
Okay.
They are campaigning like they are in power.
They are sharing posts.
They've already shared posts. We are campaigning like we are in opposition.
Come to the microphone. You are too far away from the microphone. Yes.
If it so happened that President Akufo-Addo didn't win 2020, would he not stand again?
Like attempt to come back in 2024?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Would he not?
Well, I don't know. It didn't happen, so I don't know.
He will.
I can't tell.
Known,
maybe you can't tell, but I can't tell.
President Akufo-Addo for years. He's not a gentleman who would just give up like that.
Okay, so today is not about President Akufo-Addo.
No, I'm trying to say that nobody should hold it against President Mahama if he wants to come back.
Nobody has held it against him.
The way the narration goes, as if he's been there before. What is he coming to do again?
Okay, so quickly, let me. Yes,
to that suggestion makes me laugh. You, who is an acclaimed economic wizkid, your claim to political power in this country, and the reason why President Nana-Addo banked his entire hope on you was because you are an economic wizkid. What is your report card? If you go to school and you finish exams, the exam being that you have been vice president for 2 terms, what is your report card? What was the exchange rate at the time you came to power? What is the exchange rate at the time you are about to exit power? What is the price of fuel? What is
the issue about fuel? Hold on, no. I just wanted to ask you a question. On the issue of fuel, it was your administration that deregulated the sector.
I have a very quick answer for you.
Yes.
Yet the then candidate Akufo-Addo mounted platforms, and the video recordings are there. If your producers are there, they should play it.
Of what?
That he said he will reduce the prices of fuel drastically. That is his word. Drastically.
It was Prof Mills who said it. It's not even Anado who said it. No, it's not Anado who said it. It is Professor Mills who said it. It is Professor Mills who said it. It's not Anado. Now I'm telling you that you are giving out a misinformation. I will reduce fuel drastically was said by Professor Mills.
Yes.
Carrying gallon.
That is not something that you can attribute to.
What are you saying? That there are no videos. Are you selling me this?
Videos. We have had that argument in this studio before.
Okay, we will search for the videos.
Search for that videos.
Because I remember in 2008, Professor Mills
holding a gallon
and say, and then President Kufuor then on the second round went ahead to reduce fuel.
So Wilberforce, you are putting your reputation on the line.
No.
So let's be clear. If you are not sure, tell your producer.
Let me tell you what he said. He said, the hikes in fuel prices will be a thing of the past.
Thank you.
So he didn't say reduce it.
He said thing of the past.
Price politics has been something that every candidate has used before. But let me get back to my point. You are talking about a candidate whose report card is the worst as the head of the economic management team ever in the history of this country. As we speak, Ghana cannot pay its debts. Ghana, the proud nation Ghana, has officially.
Who was sent out?
Okay. Hold on.
Who lost?
Hold on. I'm coming. I need to do this.
Are we not back in IMF?
Hold on. I need to do this.
We have been there for 19
My friends, my dear friends, let me just do this. So the Asantehene commemorative stamp launch. Now, it is the Jubilee train. Be part of the history. Ghana Post is inviting Ghanaians to join us honor Asantehene Otumfuo Osei II on his Silver Jubilee celebration as we proudly unveil a commemorative stamp honoring his illustrious 25 years reign. Mark the date on the 4th of May. There will be a grand ball to launch the stamp in honor of Otumfuo Osei II at the Menchia Palace. Otumfuo's guest of honor will be His Excellency, the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Join us, celebrate culture, and honor our tradition. Purchase our stamp, crypto stamps, stamp frames, and other stamp products from designated post shops across the country. The youth are not left out in this celebration. Are you between the ages of 9 and 15? Then don't miss your chance to shine. Participate in the Asantehene commemorative essay writing competition. 3 participants who excel will enjoy all expenses paid visits to the United Kingdom, as well as letter writing ambassadorial contracts from Ghana Post. Let's celebrate culture, honor tradition, and step into history together with Ghana Post. For partnership inquiries, please call 050-9639-652. The number again is 050-963-9652. Ghana Post, we deliver your parcels smartly and in a secured fashion. Okay, so let me get. I wanted Ezekiel to come in, and then I'll allow you to come. So Ezekiel, yes, Ezekiel, please.
Some of us,
and then when you come out,
we in the MPP,
yes,
we don't run away from the economic or the economy argument. And if it's about the economy and who has failed, right? Who has failed or who has performed, then clearly, anytime the NDC brings up the issue of the economy, to me, I always tell them it's a vote of no confidence in Mr. Mahama. You took an economy that was growing around 14+%. Yeah, I never run away from the economy.
Talk about it.
I always bring it up. And I'm happy when you bring it up. That you took an economy that was growing about 14% under Prof. Mills. And whenever you push them, tell me one single thing your candidate was able to influence that the Ghanaian can recognize him for. They push, they don't get anything. And then from nowhere, they brought a supposed letter claiming Prof. Mills had appointed the vice president then to be head of the current management team. And to them, the successes of the economy the country saw from the solid foundation of President Kufuor and the discovery of oil that brought oil's revenue to even up our growth as an economy or as a country, they attribute all the glory to Mr. Mahama. Then I ask myself, if I deputize for you or I'm part of your production, Wilberforce. And during the time you were the head of the production, this program was winning awards back to back. And I go everywhere and tout myself as the one bringing the laurels. Wilberforce is out. I take over the microphone, and every single indicator of the program is down south. Then I go and claim all the glory Wilberforce led us to achieve. That's the dishonesty and the inconsistency with the NDC. Do you understand? You took an economy that was growing above 14% and you ran it down to 2.9%. I came in, Agrec was actually doing negative. I came in from 2.9%. Pre-COVID, I was doing average of 7%. And I always will boast of our economic performances pre-COVID. And Mr. Mahama went to Harvard and told the whole world that COVID has taken a toll on emerging economies, those especially from Africa. And we saw the hikes in products on world market. We saw the hikes in container fees across board due to the global chain supply disruption we suffered. High demand, low production, obviously exchange rate, inflation would go high. So inflation, even on the world market, was high. It's not peculiar to Ghana, and Ghana is not an island. However, when the storm came, when we suffered those tides, what did we do as a country? What did we do as a government? Then again, we showed that we're indeed the government that took the economy from 2.9 to an average of 7% pre-COVID. And the indicators are there.
So what went wrong?
For us to see.
So
it's COVID and the global economic issues, the geopolitical issues across the world. So I will never run away from the economy
able to pay our
argument.
debtors.
I will not run away from the economy argument because I know
People to pay our debtors for the first time.
I'm afraid that if today
What are cocoa price?
if today
Cocoa,
you
our
push
cocoa,
me,
where is it?
Wilberforce, if today you push me that after all the talks, I went to IMF, I'm able to tell you that the global economic recession being suffered in the world today is unprecedented.
First in history,
Yet
people's
you
bonds.
went to
First in history,
IMF.
people's bonds.
You went to IMF. Those are facts, and they are sacred.
You haven't handled the economy well. You haven't.
So you
haven't handled the economy well.
Mr.
Don't
Jantua,
talk about this.
Mr. Jantua, hold on. The fact is that pre-COVID, the economy was on a certain path.
We were under
No, hold on.
IMF.
It doesn't matter.
Hold
We
on.
were under IMF. When we now got out of
2.9.
IMF, look what happened.
2.9.
When we got out of
IMF,
IMF, look at what happened.
So everybody under the same
We were
IMF,
we were clothing a naked city in loans and bonds.
IMF,
And look at what
Mr.
happened.
Mahama, Wilberforce, we're doing
Please.
2.9. So
Okay.
if you tell me
So-
we went to average of 7 because of IMF program, why didn't Mr. Mahama get to even 3?
Me, I'm not talking
Under
about
the
Mr.
same
Mahama.
IMF
I'm
program.
talking
We are
about
comparing
you.
records. It was
You
Mr. Mahama
had
took the
you
economy
listen,
to
compare
listen,
records.
listen,
Mr. Jantua,
listen,
Mr. Jantua,
listen.
Mr. Jantua.
Both of them have
We are
taken us to
comparing
IMF.
Okay, so
Both of them have taken us to
okay, so
IMF.
What we were told,
I'm the host. So
What we
if
were told-
everybody is talking, nobody hears us.
Wilberforce,
Yes.
what we were told is that
You
they are
like
going
to brush things
IMF.
as if it's
They are
clean.
going
It's
to
not
IMF
clean.
because there has been some small shake.
Don't tell us small,
Some
it's big.
small- No, not talking about the NDC. No, not mine. We are going
Talk
to
about yours.
We are going
Forget
to the
NDC,
IMF.
talk about yours.
We are going to
We
the
are
IMF
sitting
because
today.
there's
Mr. Jantua,
been
We are
a small
sitting
shake.
today.
Hold on.
A small shake. A small shake
Yes,
in the Chinese economy. Because of that small shake in the Chinese economy, it took us to IMF. We'll be able to handle COVID. We'll be able to handle the global economic repercussions the Russia-Ukraine war has brought on the country.
Please.
Now,
Mr. Jantua, please.
Nana, the vice president has tasted elections. If there was anyone before ascending the throne and up to now has never tasted any competitive election, is Mr. Mahama, aside the beatings President Akufo-Addo made him suffer. You came through vice presidency. Which competitive election has he even faced in his own party? But MPP, epitome of democracy and rule of law. Dr. Bawumia went through a drill and became a flag bearer. It was a dint of hard work, a dint of a serious competition. So clearly,
So where's the economy?
Bawumia-
Why is the economy where it is
Bawumia-
today?
Dr. Baumia is not coming.
Head of EMT.
because
Why
he
is
has
the economy
not
where it is today?
Okay.
Any,
So-
so
any
head of
problem.
EMT.
So
now,
now,
painting
hold on,
white
hold
where it
on.
is not white.
Mrs. Jantua, hold on.
2%.
So Gabriel says that.
And he says it's coming
Wobafo, sorry, but we can't hear anything. And I agree with you, Gabriel, because when everybody is talking in the microphones, you can't hear. And Yumedu has sent me a message. He says Ni is in for another political upset. And again, he says Akufo-Addo referred to Mills's statement on reducing fuel prices drastically at a demonstration rally. So it is saying that Akufo-Addo did refer to what Mills said he was going to do by reducing fuel prices drastically when he was speaking at a rally.
Yeah.
So indeed, there's a video that shows that, but it is Akufo-Addo with reference to the Mills. Okay, so let me read these messages because of time. He even said if he has 2 billion cedis, he would not
he will
use
not
it
use it for
to
education.
fund free SHS. And this is a message coming from Maxwell. Maxwell, thank you for your message.
Thank you for
Then
letting
there's Fabio Boate who says, Mr. Host, kindly ask Mr. Jantua what President Mills said on the petrol price as he just said about President Akufo-Addo, and also tell him to take up the position of communications member of the NDC, but not a social commentator. Hey, okay,
I'm a member of the CPP.
then
Social
what happened
commentator.
to what happens to the program? The sitting president is implementing. So then what happens to the program the sitting president is implementing? Is Mr. Jantua saying that the vice president should tell the president to implement his policy now? Is this logical?
Why isn't
That's
it logical?
A question that,
Why isn't it logical?
Danny is
You are
asking.
in power.
Well, yes. So he says that he
Use
doesn't
your
think-
power.
So per the logic of Mr. Jantua about Dr. Bawumia, then his favorite candidate, Mr. Mahama, should never dream of coming back, as whatever he's saying now should have been done when he had the executive presidency.
And you know what?
The dislike
Not
of the
being
MPP and Dr. Bawumia by Mr. Jantua is mind-boggling.
And you know what?
Well,
Wilberforce.
as it says, time
please.
is indeed the tell.
Wilberforce. Wilberforce.
Yes.
Just
So
a
we
bit
are
on
wrapping
that.
up.
A
We
bit-
are
a bit
wrapping
on
up.
that.
Our time is up, unfortunately.
I'll start wrapping up.
So yes.
a bit on that. Mr. Jantua is telling us that Dr. Bawumia should start implementing the policies he's thought of.
I said you should implement one
He
now.
should implement one.
Yes.
You see, then clearly, there's no way Ghanaians should go back to Mr. Mahama. In his 2012 manifesto,
He's trying to win
in
an
his
election.
2012
isn't he?
manifesto, he's told us that he was going to construct Western Corridor roads. He's told us that he was going to provide accommodation for teachers. As a certain president, he couldn't do it. He's now coming to rehash those things.
Why do you want to follow him?
Even
follow
him,
him? To come back.
Why do
Mr.
you want to
Jantua
follow him?
believes he's credible. Me saying Mr. Mahama in
Why
2020
do you want-
told
why do
us
you
that
want
he
to
was
follow
going to
him?
do one Zongo, one mortuary. Is he still preaching those
Do
policies?
your own. Let's see
President
what you can do
Akufo-Addo's
differently.
manifesto.
Mr. Jantua,
Let's see what you
some
can
of
do
your-
differently.
Some of your
Manifesto.
positions, I think you approbate and you reprobate.
The
And
sitting
it's
president's
quite
manifesto.
difficult.
The sitting president's manifesto for 2020 elections was not the same manifesto he brought in 2016. And if President Akufo-Addo today has an opportunity to contest another election, moving forward, he's not going to rehash the manifesto he brought 2016. He's not going to rehash the manifesto he brought in 2020. He's going to think forward and propose something new. So what is wrong?
Did he even use
with
the one he
Dr.
brought in
Bawumia
2020?
saying that when I become president, I'm going to do A, B, C. You believe that a sitting president has the powers to implement fresh policies he believes will help the country from 2025. But you don't believe that the person who sat on the throne gave you promises is rehashing the same promises.
You
he
couldn't
gave
do it when you were vice
2012.
president. You can do it
The
when you
same
become president.
promise-
So that's
and
our
you
show for
made-
today.
made a
When you're
few
vice president.
promises.
You can't
Yet
do it
he's
when you're
run away
president.
from his own promises.
Please.
Why is he not talking about the village, the one Zongo, one mortuary policy? What's running from it?
Okay.
His own brainchild.
The
Why is he
Zongo,
still
the
not doing
Zongo
it?
says that they don't need mortuaries because they don't keep their dead.
If he believes that indeed
He's the one who
they need or they desire the mortuaries, he should bring it back.
Okay,
He's run away
so
from his
Ni
own
is-
policies.
this is
But
the
to
last
expect
message we
Bawumia
are reading.
To be doing something.
But why have you allowed Doc to wrap up and others won't wrap up?
No, it's because our time is up. So we it was comments.
took
He
all
was
the
just
time.
reflecting. Yeah. So
I'm sure
Ni
you wrapped up.
Ni
No
is
comment.
emotionally right, but technically wrong in that the psychology of voting has never been truly understood. For instance, can Ni explain how Hohoi constituency voted massively for Peter Amewu and on the same fact voted for John Mahama in the same election?
Parliamentary.
There is therefore a large constituency of voters who will vote for the NDC no matter what, not because they believe the NDC will better their lot. So Ni and their leadership must start managing expectations of their supporters so that they don't escape responsibility by blaming it on the rigged elections. The NDC failed because they adopted a top-down approach or turned the Maslow's needs hierarchy upside down by telling the voter what they think matters to them most. We wish them luck. Mahama in Ashama, he says Bahama, but I know he was writing Mahama. And the last message is there. Wilberforce, please, GOIL has rather reduced the fuel prices. They said GOIL has rather reduced instead of increase. I think that I saw some reduction somewhere. I don't know whether it's GOIL. And then it is because of people like Mr. Jantua that the CPP has not been able to win any elections against in Ghana. They do the bidding of the NDC. I don't think he has ever used this platform to advance the cause of CPP, but always siding with the NDC.
Haven't I?
With all the evil of, and this is a message from George, and then there's another one says that with all the evils of the pandemic that decimated all economies of this world, it is unthinkable for Mr. Jantua to blame this government for our economic woes. And that is the last message from Kwabena Jemfi.
Just a minute.
That's how we are ending the show today.
But haven't I talked about the CPP on this platform?
Well,
haven't I said
this is a texter. He has the right to say.
You should listen to me when I talk.
As we wrap up again, let me also tell you that the Jubilee train be part of the history. Ghana Post is inviting Ghanaians to join as Anna Asantehene Otumfuo Osei II on his Silver Jubilee celebrations as we proudly unveil a commemorative stamp honoring his lustrous 25 years reign. Make a date on the 4th of November, or the 4th of May, which is today. Actually today. So there will be a grand ball to launch the stamp in honor of Otumfuo Osei II at the Menchia Palace. President Akufo-Addo is the guest of honor. He's already in Kumasi for this activity. Join us, celebrate culture and honor our tradition. Purchase our stamps, crypto stamps, stamp frames, and other stamp products from designated post shops across the country. The youth are not left out in this celebration. Are you between the ages of 9 and 15? Then don't miss your chance to shine. Participate in the Asantehene Otumfuo commemorative essay writing competition. 3 participants who excel will enjoy an all expenses paid visit to the United Kingdom, as well as letter writing ambassadorial contracts from Ghana Post. Let's celebrate culture, honor tradition, and step into history together with Ghana Post. For partnership enquiries, please call 0509 939 652. The number again is 0509 639 652. Ghana Post, we deliver your parcels smartly and in a secured fashion. So that has been our show for today. Very, very interesting conversations and very, very interesting comments coming from our texters and all that. I cherish all your contributions to this show. Our guests today have been Ellen Amma Deko. She's a member of the MPP National Communications team and also a member of Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia's campaign team. Ellen, thank you very much indeed for coming. Nii Kpakpo Samoa Addo is a lecturer at the Gimpa Law Faculty. He is a managing partner, Addo and Addo Legal Attorneys, and he's obviously a lawyer in private practice.
My lawyer.
And then Kwame Jantua is CP. He's Amadeko's lawyer. Yes. And then Kwame Jantua is a member of the CPP, a private lawyer himself. And then our guest who came in for the first time and has outshined the entire program, Dr. Ezekiel Ejekum Boateng. He's a medical doctor. He practices in Accra. And he is also Obing, sorry. So Ezekiel Ejekum Obing, I'm sorry. Thank you. And he is a member of the MPP National Communications team. This show has been produced by Emmanuel Oheming with able support from Daniel Gidiglo. My name is Wilberforce Asari. Thank you very much for the privilege.